in sessions. I didn't have anything particularly planned. I was going to do something about philosophy, but uh, I might do that next week, either maybe tomorrow or sometime during the week. But let's just keep it lighthearted. We had a conversation on politics yesterday after we talked about the ramifications and results of the first presidential debate of the election. And we also had a somewhat tangential debate on Israel and Palestine. And that was only because I decided to engage in that conversation. Usually I don't. I don't mind people, expressing their opinions on things if it's relevant to the discussion. But I just felt like saying something at the time because I usually always see it. And most of the people who put, that that expression all over social media, they seem like a cult. Like everyone putting Free Palestine in every social media app has just become annoying at this point. And it's like freedom. It's like freedom from what exactly? Like when have they not? Is like when have they been free? Like acting like Israel was the first. Like it's like they haven't been free since ancient times. I was like, at this point, it's just a political identity. But I didn't want to engage too far in that. So, but I did want to say something because it's just annoying because it's you can't escape it. Like every single platform. I don't care if you're on TikTok, Instagram, Kick. Uh, I don't use Kick by the way, but I'm aware of it. Snapchat, um, Facebook. Uh, Maybe even WeChat. I don't know, but like it's just everywhere, and it's annoying. And I think most of the people who advocate for it really don't know what they're talking about once you engage them. So that's why I engaged a person to see if they actually knew what they were talking about, and they didn't. So I just decided to test the waters and kind of confirm my own suspicions about most people who put that everywhere on social media. Mind you, there are some who are actually intelligent enough to talk about it, but by and large, most of them aren't. So here we are today, and like I said, the topic is going to be just random questions today for me. But the the nominal discussion is how's everyone's summer going? Um, you know, have you guys started your vacations? Are you going to have a vacation? Have you already had a vacation? Was it good? Was it bad? Are you looking forward to it? If you haven't yet, where are you going? Are you guys traveling? Or are you staying home doing a staycation? Are you gonna travel and be gone for like the whole summer and do like a workcation like I used to do and we'll be doing again? Um, those sorts of things. Um, so, for instance, I'm not at home right now, as people can see from my last live streams for the past 5 days. So, just trying to get a feel for that. My wife was on a vacation for several days. She went to a new province. She got to meet a tribal elder who's 107 years old and is known as a famous tattoo artist, especially for uh, tattoo tattoo tours. Like she's definitely one of those people they would probably seek out to get tattooed from. Wayne Odd in the Banoi province. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Is in the Philippines. Um, then she also, hung out with some buddies this weekend, or a buddy, I guess. But I haven't really done anything since the start of the summer. I do have plans, but again, I really don't announce my plans prior to doing them online, just because I don't think that's very wise. But usually I'll talk about them after I've done them. I've already hinted at people that I plan on, going back overseas and doing some stuff. And I even talked about some of the countries. Excuse me. Voice is a little hoarse. Most of you guys already know I have to drink something while we're doing these live streams so I can maintain my voice, because working out in the heat, I get pretty dehydrated. So I have some iced coffee. I have benefactors that see to it that I have plenty of iced coffee. If you don't know, I have a app called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can actually donate money to the Buy Me a Coffee app, and I will, actually extract it and use it for the efforts of drinking coffee. A lot of content creators use that app, by the way. Some of them use it for other things. Some of it for buy. It's called Buy Me a Coffee, but some people will say instead, buy me a beer or buy me a pizza. Pizza is actually a pretty good idea, by the way. But something I can use daily is coffee. So I always say, buy me a coffee. I don't drink beer. And I love pizza, but I'm not going to eat it every day. At least, well, I could eat it every day. I love Lido pizza. For those who might be familiar with that pizzeria in Maryland, they've spread beyond Maryland now, but I think they started in Maryland. It's called Lido Pizza. Really good. Like a flat, square pizza, thin crust. It reminds me of the old Little Caesars. Um, but yeah, so if you guys want to contribute to my channel, you can buy me a coffee, which I'm drinking now. It is evening time, but I need it to do this live chat because I'm pretty tired. Otherwise, this will be around the time I'll be probably going to bed, so I can get up really early. Get up really early to run so I can beat the heat. Because today I ran in the afternoon, it was 90 degrees. Fortunately, it wasn't um, a lot of humidity and it was a cool breeze, so the 90 felt more like 80. Ian Watts, what's up, my friend? He says, good day from Australia. What time is it where you at, Ian? It is 9 something here, 9 p.m. I'm on the East Coast, Maryland. By the way, for you guys, I guess it's your winter time actually, right? So how do you guys do that with half of the world being in a different, uh, you know, the northern hemisphere being in a completely different season than you guys? So drink plenty of water. 11 16 a.m. here. Good weather for fishing. Okay. Sound like my drill sergeant. They drink water. I do drink plenty of water. If you see my other live streams, I always have like a green jug of water with me while I'm doing my streams. I only had coffee right now because I'm really tired, so I wanted to be able to stay up to do the stream. So I'm drinking coffee, but I'll still be drinking water afterwards too. Ian says, I met a lot of good Americans on YouTube. That's cool. That's good that you have, because there's a lot of weirdos on YouTube. Well, I think the content creators are cool, but a lot of the people who come into these comment sections can be, a little sketchy. So, new sub, thank you. I appreciate it a lot. For those who don't know, getting new subscribers is always awesome. Just like I said, it's flattering to me to know that people will actually want to listen to me about any given topic. And I genuinely mean that. So, I'm flattered that you would subscribe, and anyone else who subscribed as well. I usually get new subscribers every time I do a stream, so that's really cool. Midwest Mobsters 2 says new sub. What's up, Midwest Mobsters? Um, so yeah, guys. So the format. So usually I do like a topic every day when I do a stream, but every week I'll do like a day where people can just ask random questions. And most of the people who ask me questions usually know like my background, like my educational background is in cognitive science and philosophy. So usually they ask me like academic questions, or they might ask me some questions about like what I think about certain political topics right now. So, the big thing this week was, the presidential debate between Trump and Biden. And I was going to live stream during the debate, but I didn't want to get copyright strikes from playing the content while I was live streaming. So I just decided to do a post debate live stream. James Gee says, I'm here for 5 minutes, won't be back. Okay, no problem. I mean, I appreciate the 5 minutes you got. It's Saturday. I know people have many other things to do. If you're here in America and it's like, the evening, you might want to go out and do stuff. Like 20 years ago, I wouldn't be, like, yeah, about 20, I'd say about a good 24 years ago, I wouldn't be at home right now. I would be in DC right now on my way to a club, or probably drinking and on my way to a club, something like that. But like the DC nightlife back in the 2000s, even in the late 90s, you know, was awesome. So I was always out, or even if I didn't hit a club, I might be out with friends, like doing some stuff. When I was, on campus, I was doing stuff. It was always something to do on the weekends. So Ian says, I have a part of American Civil War history, a violin and case captured by the USS Wabash. Very proud of it. Have you got it? Have you got it? What do you call it? Sorry, my words are escaping. When you have you gotten into praise to see how much it's worth? My cousin, she actually has a lot of American antiques, and I think she had a lot of them appraised. Some of them are worth a lot of money, but the problem is she would move around a lot and put stuff in storage. And some of these things she got damaged while in storage, or she would move from one place to another, and she she was living with someone at the time, and they had a falling out. So that person wasn't taking care of the stuff in storage, paying the I guess the rent or whatever. So she lost a lot of that stuff because she wanted to start, I think, her own little museum or something like that. But the fact that she's in so much debt, I would have sold a lot of that stuff just to get out of debt. The Sizewell says, "Loved your life. I'm too lame for." I didn't get the rest of that. BSK says, "James Gee, live long and prosper." Wait, is James Gee part of Star Trek? Ian says, yes, a lot of money, 1863. All right, well, hold on to it. Put it somewhere where you can preserve it so it doesn't rot, or, age, or get termites or whatever in it to get damage the property. I'm a collector, so I'm not at home, so I can't show you my collections, but people who've seen my live streams in the past, or you can look at some of my old videos, I'm a collector, not of antiques, but like 80s vintage toys and comic books and stuff like that. So far, I haven't really gotten anything expensive in my collection yet. At least not from what I know. For all I know, maybe my Boba Fett action figure might have a good price on it, and some other things. I got some antique banks, but as far as I know, nothing in my collection is very expensive, because if so, I would probably sell it and take a trip right now. Um, Ian says, yeah, violent 1863. That wouldn't be at the performance right where Lincoln was assassinated, was it? BSK says green dot comment. Uh, hmm. Decides well says precious metals or crypto. I don't believe in crypto, so I said that before. Someone came. I don't think it was you, decides well, but someone else was kind of hawking crypto on the live stream either yesterday or a few days before, and I said I can't really back those statements because I think crypto is mostly a pyramid scheme. Um, like you can't really use it for currency because it's decentralized and most places don't trust it. Like other than using it in either like the black market or to buy subscriptions to Pornhub, stuff like that. But outside of that, it doesn't make for good like currency exchange, and it doesn't make for a good investment because it's only worth its value is extrinsically tied to more people coming in buying up the crypto for it to be worth anything. So that makes it like a trademark pyramid scheme. So I would say precious metals. Well, your first thing should be like stocks. So for beginning investors, I'm not a stockbroker. I'm not going to sit there and give anyone specific things to invest in or tell them what sort of stocks and all that sort of stuff. I'll just say generally stocks, and most people will start off with like buying index funds, stuff like that, like Nasdaq, S&P 500, stuff like that. And for those who are interested, they can buy stocks and stuff like that based on like the portfolios of very high performing investors like Warren Buffett. His 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 investment portfolio for Hack Your Birth Away is public, and he updates it every year and lets the public see it. That is a pretty good um a pretty good like rough sketch of where you should invest your money. Just looking at Warren Buffett's portfolio for Berkshire Bath well, Berkshire Hathaway. Sorry, getting that confused. Um, Also, pretty much Warren Buffett pretty much only is interested in blue chip stocks. So blue chip stocks are pretty reliable. It's not risky. Good place to put your money. And if you want like something tangible outside of just stocks, then yeah, precious metals over crypto. Crypto is never going to be a good place to as an investment. And I cringe at the fact that some people have actually switched their IRAs, individual retirement accounts, to crypto IRAs. Like that is such a bad gamble of their money. So yeah, I would say stocks, and like I said, start off with like index funds, high performing index funds like Nasdaq, S&P 500, or you could follow Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway portfolio. But if you need something tangible, then precious metals like silver and gold, and buy it from a trusted source. Sean Heil says, "I'm sure you enjoyed the comedy show known as the debate." Yeah, I did. It was actually more. It was actually more controlled than what I thought, though, Sean. I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be crazier. To be honest, I think most of us who did watch it was expecting it to be more wild. The funny thing is, I saw a lot of people complaining, saying that saying that the debate was all over the place. When actually I thought it was pretty civil. A little bit too civil for me, to be honest. I actually was looking forward to the craziness. Um, I don't know. I won't say I'm an agent of chaos, but it would have been more exciting. But it was actually more controlled. Like people acting like these two men didn't know what they were talking about. And like the format was so strict, like they had 2 minutes to answer a question, 1 minute for a response, and 1 minute for a rebuttal. So we never got deep into any sort of one question, which was kind of a kind of lame to me. But it wasn't as wild as people made it out to be. I was actually hoping it would be crazier. That guy you don't know said you really said bro really did fire on that community post. Oh, so you you saw my community tabs, didn't you? I told people check out my community tabs. I post pretty wild stuff on there sometimes. A lot of it is stuff that I also post on my Instagram that's connected to this channel. So I have I have a Facebook and an Instagram that's connected to this channel, and pretty much everything is kind of connected. There's stuff you will see on my Instagram that you won't see on here, like on my community tabs and stuff like that. But overall, it's the same stuff. So if you want to get like a quick chuckle, you can check out my community tabs. Helio Alves is Boston Celtics. I'm not aware of what's going on with them. Sorry. Uh, BSK says actual value dirt get rural land. What is actual value dirt? You talking about the crypto? Because if so, yeah, I agree. Rural land, it depends. When you say getting rural land, you're talking about. I guess you're talking about people applying for a like a like an agricultural loan, right? Which you would get through like the USDA. I mean, I guess, but you got to develop the land and all that sort of stuff yourself. I mean, that would be a whole that's like a whole career in itself. I'm not sure if everyone wants to drop everything that they're doing and get a USDA loan and go out and develop agricultural property. I mean, if that's unless that's something they were already genuinely interested in, and the farm life is pretty tough. So I don't know. This guy, I can't read this XXR 3M3 GADOK. Such as I'm not gonna read the rest of that. It says hi from Portugal. um, the sign as well says, would the U.S. be better off with more independent states from the government or worse? I'm not sure what you mean with by more independent states. That, I'm not sure what you mean. Are you saying states that aren't a part of the U.S. government, or are you saying states that are neither Democrat or Republican but run by a governor who's an independent, like Jesse Ventura was? I don't know if you mean that or something else. And BSK said we need clarification. Yeah, I did catch the debate TRW. I did a whole live stream on it if you want to check it out. I was actually going to live stream the debate, but I thought it could be um, that might put me at risk for a copyright strike. So I didn't live stream the debate. Instead, I did the debate the following day. I mean, we talked about the debate the following day, and I did a pre-stream debate where we talked about what we expected to happen going into it. So yeah, I definitely checked it out. Garfield or Snoop Dogg, I don't get it. Uh, BSK says agricultural exemptions can be difficult, often passed through generation. We do bee boxes, hay, etc., not time intensive. Okay. The one thing I don't like about like the agriculture, like the rural land thing, is that we allow foreign investors to buy up agricultural land. Why are we doing that? Most other countries would not allow foreigners to buy up rural land, and we do. Now, some states have put a stop to it. I think Florida has stopped Chinese investors, which is like, duh. Why should we let a foreign adversary buy up property, or a national from a foreign adversary buy up our rural land? Like that's crazy that that's even allowed in so many states. That can be a topic for a whole different day, though. Yeah, I'm not gonna pick something that I don't understand, Viskers. Sorry, I don't. I have no um, reason to do so. Anyway, TRW says, I wonder who's going to run in 4 years. I can't imagine. So we speculated about that too. I wish you had was in. I mean, I'm sure you were probably busy. No big deal. But if you were in the live stream, we actually talked about that. We speculated on who might be running in what 2028, and I was saying that we could see The Rock maybe in the next one. And then there was this back and forth about he's not qualified and this and that. And I was like, look at all the other politicians we had whom we thought weren't qualified, including Trump himself, right? Or um, I talked about the big spectacle when Arnold ran for office in California back 20 years ago, and how it attracted all these other celebrities to run for office, like Gary Coleman and a bunch of other folks. And I think it was like Gary Coleman, and I think like Marlon Wayans and some other folks. It was crazy. And then I said people have definitely been talking about AOC, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. They're talking about Gavin Newsom. Uh, the guy who's Secretary of transportation or whatever right now, he might run again for office. That the gay dude. Who else? On the Republican side, I don't know. Maybe Donald Trump's son. Maybe Vivek again. Uh, that black guy, that conservative black guy who they were trying to talk badly about last week, saying that he supported Jim Crow, and that is not at all what he said. He was just saying that more black people were married during the Jim Crow era, and people tried to reinterpret what he said just to make him look bad. But we might see him running. I mean, who knows in 2028? Decisible says, wouldn't it become easier to farm rural land with the help of AI, like a single person farm? I don't see how. It still takes intensive like labor to do so. I mean, yes, a lot of. I mean, you're right. A lot of a lot of agricultural is what do you call it, automated nowadays, but farming still a hard that's still a hard life. Like you still have to be up doing a lot of that stuff like physically yourself. So I don't think AI is gonna. We don't have AI to the point right now where we still don't need physical labor. I mean, look at all the illegal immigrants that are still out there picking oranges and stuff like that. Like it's agriculture is still pretty intense physical labor, depending on what it is. BSK says, and boom, airstrip folks pay for tie down spots, no hangar space. LOL. Decisible says, if that's the case, for rural land would be best. So owning the land might be a great idea, and you have someone work it for you. Like you have someone who actually manages the property and farms it, whatever, and then you own the land. Yeah, that would be great. But someone who has the ability to buy up property and have someone else actually manage the land for them is probably going to be someone who's already wealthy anyway. Shane Kimberlin says vote Trump. Blade Lover, Night Null 60 is going to be back. What's the topic today? So no general. Today is one of the random question day. So this is the open format. I was saying though nominally the topic of the day is what are people doing for the summer, but um, you can ask any sort of questions as long as they're appropriate. Shane says Vivek. BSK says Vivek will never be a top candidate. Yeah, so BSK, you were there in the stream when I said that. I was saying that I don't think he would. I, I could be wrong, but I said I don't think he would ever become the Republican frontrunner, just because I think that a lot of people would agree with Ann Coulter that they would never vote for a brown skinned Indian man who's Hindu. I just don't see it. Now, do I think Republicans can? Do I think Republicans will back a black Republican frontrunner? I think so. I think they will, but Vivek, I'm not sure. I maybe, but I doubt it. I don't think he would be a. He might be one of the top candidates, but he wouldn't. I don't see him being the front runner next election. I just don't think most of Middle America would be comfortable with a man who's not also Indian but is also Hindu. Now, unless he declares that he's not Hindu, then that might help him. But I think that he has hinted that he is actually Hindu. So Shane Kimball says I still like him better than Trump, though. No, I mean that's fine. I'm not saying you shouldn't like him, Shane. I was just saying I'm not sure if all of America would be ready for that, right? Like he's going to catch like so we already know that half the country, the Democratic and left leaning side, isn't going to vote for him because they're going to just say, "Oh, this guy's just a sellout." Because for Democrats, and when I'm talking Democrats, I'm talking about white liberals. So I should be clear. When I say Democrats, I'm talking about white liberals, right? White liberals will always be nastier to a a racial minority who's conservative than conservatives will be to that person because the white liberals and Democrats automatically assume that anyone who's not a white male should be a Democrat, and that is so racist, and they don't see it themselves, which is what pushes a lot of minority groups out of the Democratic base. Is that sort of thing. This is why a lot of black men are leaving the Democratic Party. And watch, when Trump wins, and we know he's going to win, they're going to blame us for it. The bar says farmland should be protected, not sold to foreign investors. I completely agree. Like this should be to me, this shouldn't be a state by state decision. This should be federal law. Like in the Philippines, I'm not allowed to own a home. Like I have a home over there, but it's in my wife's name because I can't buy property there. I think the only exception to buying property in the Philippines for a foreigner is if it's commercial property, right? So, like, say I wanted to open a bar in Angeles City or somewhere in Manila or Makati or Subic Bay. I think I could apply to buy a commercial property, but then it also has to be. I think I have to buy it in cash. Like I can't participate in any of their um, mortgage, banking loans, which only apply to Philippine nationals. So, but as far as me just buying like a single family home, I can't like foreigners can buy condos over in Thailand, in the Philippines and Thailand, but not uh, residential property. Although I heard that that's changed in Thailand, but it hasn't changed in the Philippines. In Thailand, I think they did just change the law this year that you can buy property if you're a foreigner. But again, that just changed this year. And it just goes to the fact that most places don't allow foreign people to buy up land in their homelands, and that makes a lot of sense. Foreign investors should not be allowed to buy land in another property. I mean, in another country, because it's a national security issue. Decides well says robots are coming. Yeah, I mean everything is going to be automated, but stuff like that is still a long ways to go. Like I said, there's still like hundreds, like tens to hundreds of thousands of migrants the working the farmlands out, out in the far west today. Like all those Latino migrants and stuff that are picking oranges and stuff like that. All of them who are working in those slaughterhouses, there's a lot of automation, but it's still stuff that has to be done by hand, and we're not nowhere close enough to automating all that sort of stuff. What's up, Tia? She says Biden is too old. He is. Like, and I was saying this again yesterday in the previous live stream. Like, you can see the difference in how like his mental acuity isn't where it was back when he was VP when he was vice president under Obama. He was much mentally sharper. He had a he had a more he had a stronger, more robust voice. He he could respond in a timely manner, and he just seemed like he was more there, like he was more lucid than he is now. And you see, age has not his 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 mental age has caught up with his chronological age. But yeah, when he was VP, I mean, he used to make a lot of verbal gaffes and stuff back then, but at least he was lucid. I just don't see it. It's like I said before, I think he should have just retired with the dignity and grace of a first of just being a first term president. I mean, a one term president. No one would have faulted him for that, and a lot of Democrats probably would have openly praised him for letting him for having the grace to step aside and let someone else younger run in his stead. Not Harris, but someone else. BSK says A, I would be like CPA legal, material storage, diesel, acquisition, etc. I'm lost a little bit there. Blade Lover says Vivek was born in Ohio. He's an American, as you and me. How could anyone not be okay with him as a president? Again, I'm not talking about myself, but I mean, Blade Lover, we just have to be honest with ourselves. We know that there's a lot of people who just wouldn't be comfortable with him. It's not that we know he's American, right? That's I don't think that's what's in dispute here. It's does he come off as quote American unquote, right? And I think for a lot of people in some places of the country, he just wouldn't. That may be, and that's probably their problem, and that's that, But yeah, I don't think he would be the Republican front runner in the next election, in 2028, just because I don't, like I said, I don't think people would be as comfortable with him taking the reins on that because one, he's Indian, a brown skinned Indian man, um, and two, he's Hindu. Remember, the Louisiana governor, he was also an Indian Hindu guy. No, actually, he was Christian. Um, that guy was actually Christian, from what I believe. That Louisiana governor, Jindal, I think that was his name, Jindal or Jimpo, Jim. I think it was Jindal. People forgot he tried to run for president. Um, I can't remember. I think that was 2016. I think, right. I think because remember in 2016 it was like 20 different Republicans trying to run, and I think Jindal was one of them, and he was quickly pushed aside as well. BSK says there's cheap land all over. We got places nearby. Ruidoso, New Mexico, 8,000. Hard to reach at times. Subaru Country Sun. Yeah, I'm just saying. So I think buying rural land is not feasible for most people because one, you have to have the money. One, you have the money. You have to have the money or the collateral to get the agricultural loans, right? Then two, you have to have the money to develop the land or to hire people to manage the land in your stead. So I'm not like I said in theory, yes, it would be a good idea, but I'm just saying in practice, I think it wouldn't be very feasible for a lot of people. Just like so here in Baltimore and in some other places, they have this thing where you can buy up row homes for like I think like $1, but the caveat is that you have to show that you have like X amount of money in your account to be able to actually to renovate and and develop these broken down row homes throughout Baltimore City. And I've seen a similar thing going on in Japan right now, where they're trying to get people out into the rural prefectures, and they're selling like property really cheap, and they are allowing foreign investors, by the way, in Japan. So if people want to go looking at some property and some nice countryside of Japan, go check it out. It's very cheap. But again, you know, you're gonna have the money to like renovate these properties. That's the caveat. BSK says vaguely B&B style remote. Aviation already all over. AI tech. Moonlit Fern says we're here. Big love. Like and subscribe and share community. Thank you, Moonlit Fern. So like Moonlit Fern said, guys, if you can, please like and subscribe. Okay. You can share the videos, and you can hit the notifications to know when I'm uploading new content. I appreciate it a lot. Um, 200, as of last count, I'm like 275 public watchable hours away from being monetized. So public watchable hours is just how much people are watching the actual content that I've posted, right? And it's always like 5 days behind. So I'm pretty sure I've probably already hit that marker, but it will take 5 days to find out. But I'm still like, as of the last count, which is like again, like I said, 5 days behind where I actually am. It's like 275 public watch hours short of being monetized. So appreciate it if you guys share and watch the content, like, subscribe. BSK says the New Mexico dirt, not agricultural property, 8,000 feet. You can rent or lease it. Uh, okay. I mean, it's something to look into for people who might be interested in that. I know for myself, it's not something I would be interested in. Is like, you know, like I said, if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it all the way. So I know that's not something I'll be interested in doing all the way. Plus, I already have like vested interest in property overseas. So, like I said, I already have a home in the Philippines, and my wife and I have even talked about maybe buying some farmland. It was funny on my wedding, one of her aunties actually asked me to buy a cow, and I was, you know, I had to ask my wife. I was like, "Is that usual? Do people offer to sell you like farm animals on a wedding?" She was like, "No, not at all." But my her auntie at the time was kind of desperate to for some money to help out her daughter at the time. Her daughter's doing well though. She ended up moving to Cambodia and is making a lot more money as an accountant overseas than she would in the Philippines. But I told my wife, I was like, I kind of wish we did buy the cow. But I was like, where we would have put it, and I guess she was just saying it would have stayed at you know, with the family that already had the cow, but they would just take care of it in our place. So I told her, I was like, I don't know, maybe we should just get our own farm property and then have someone else take care of it for us. So if I do buy any any farmland or something like that, it's probably gonna be over there. It won't be here. BSK says public watching deal aggregated. So I don't know how they do it. It's my wife and I had talked about it. Like I guess it's just like, you know, you get people how long people are actually watching the content. I guess, right? Um, so 3,000 hours is the minimum for the long form videos and live streams. If it's if it's the YouTube Shorts, it has to be around, I think, 3 million. So yeah, Muley, for instance, did you see when Biden talked about border control and Trump roasted him so hard? Trump said, I don't know what Biden just said, and I don't think Biden knows what he just said. I was laughing. Yeah, we all saw that. We all saw that. We all laughed at that. Because I mean, Trump was right. It was said it was said that he had to say that. And then Biden just looked confused, like he didn't even have a rebuttal to that. So this, like I said, every poll done on the debate said that Trump won. Even on the left, even people on the left had to admit that Trump won the debate. And now the left is split. You have half of the people saying, well, yeah, Trump won the debate, but that doesn't matter because Biden is the one with the better policies. Then you have another half of the left saying, yeah, Trump won the debate. We need to replace Biden with someone else. It's not too late. And I'm like, yeah, it is. It is actually too late. I mean, okay, even if they wait until, even even though they haven't like formally announced it already, I mean, we already know he's their guy. He's the sitting president. The sitting president is always the front runner. So I I don't know unless Biden himself backed out of it, and I'm sure there are some people in his ear saying maybe he should, but he's not going to do it because if he really cared, he would just back out, and he's not. So the left is split right now. Like I said, everyone on the left has agreed with the right that Trump won the debate. The schism now in the left is whether half of those folks who acknowledge that are saying that he needs to step down and let someone else replace him, or they're saying, yeah, he lost, but who cares because he has the better policies anyway. So that's the cognitive dissonance going on on the political left right now. Only for instance, yeah, in Thailand, uh, they be asking to buy the water buffalo and help the elephants, which I'm cool with that. I didn't even realize they had water buffaloes. I think they got some sort of what they have water buffaloes in the Philippines too. They call them starts with a C. I forgot Caru. Um, I forgot the name, but yeah, they have water buffaloes in the Philippines too. But no, it was an actual cow they asked me to buy, and I was like, a cow? And I was like, they want me to buy old Bessie, and my wife was laughing. She said, why you call her old Bessie? I said, that's just an American thing. They call cows old Bessie. And for a while, her brother owned some animals. I think he owned some pigs, but I think he sold them when he lost his job a few years ago. He sold them, but I know he owned some pigs for a little while. BSK says folks different around the world got tired of coastal smells and humidity, mountain air, crisp, clean, dry, documented thoroughly. Blade Lover says, if Trump wins the election, do you think the left will give him the Kennedy special? they they don't have the balls. What they would do, how the left treats people is a little different. So they're just going to try to run him through the criminal system as much as possible. That's what's likely was going to happen because we know he still has a bunch of upcoming hearings but those hearings aren't going to happen until after the election. So, assuming looking at the numbers, assuming that Trump is most likely the winner, and the only way he wouldn't would be if um, if RFK Jr. becomes a dark horse candidate, right? Aside from RFK being some sort of dark horse candidate and messes it up, um, Trump will most likely be elected, and the left will come after him through the justice system. That's what they're going to do. They're going to run him through the justice system. They're not going to hit him with the pew pew, because if you remember, I mean, not that if you remember, but if I mean if you look at it, most law enforcement and most military back Trump. If you add like if you ask a random law enforcement officer, you ask a random military person, most of them back Trump. So they're not going to hit him with a pew pew. They're going to try to run him through the justice system because he's going to have a bunch of hearings his first year in office because a lot of those things got pushed back till after the election, and the Democrats were mad about that. They were hoping to run him through the ringer legally before the elections to damage him. So yeah, that's what I think is going to happen, Blade Lover. And this guy asking me to say his name. No, you can if you want me to say your name, drop a cash app. If you think I'm gonna play myself for free, nah, son. And that's so weird anyway. Why do you guys do that incelish type stuff anyway? Some of you really need some professional help. Stop coming onto social media displaying your mental health problems. Get professional help. Or how about this? Get a gym membership. Planet Fitness has a $5 special or $10 special. Do that. Stop coming on social media showing how retarded you are. Bleo says, make that bread, bro. It really, to be honest, Bleo, it's not even about the money. It's the fact that if people really want to me to go out of my way to do something for them, when I'm doing this for free because I'm not monetized, then they can just show some love in the Cash App or the Venmo or buy me a coffee. These aren't super chats. These are just apps. Just live streams I'm doing just as a hobby. But yeah, I mean, if people want me to go out of my way to do stuff, like I've had people ask me all sorts of weird stuff, like do as many push-ups as you can, or do some pull-ups, or show me your kicks and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, all right, well, drop the Cash App and I'll do it. Or like, I'll have a topic of the day, and they want to change the topic to something else completely than what we're talking about. I'm like, all right, well, drop the Cash App and we'll do that. But it's just people putting their money where their mouth is, figuratively speaking, because this is not their show. So it's not, if they want to, give me some bread, I appreciate it. But if not, they can keep on trucking, right? Instacart shopper says, yeah, the Winnie professional help because we don't get an assistant. I check like, sorry, I'm trying to make sense of what you said. I'm guessing it was just like a um, misspelling. BSK says Cash App fever. Blade Lover says, I think that person is a kid. Yeah, a lot of them are kids, and then some of them are just retards. Like I was telling my friend that last week. I said I think most trolls are kids, and he was like, I don't even care if they're kids. He said the fact that they have nothing else better to do than to come onto a live stream or social media and troll people shows that there's something wrong with them. He said whether they're kids or adults. So I have to agree with him on that one. Instacart shopper says, I don't know what you're even saying. What is my Cash App? It's dollar sign Page Enterprises LLC. It's also in the link in my description when you come to when you come to my channel. I have a description, of my channel and myself, and below I give links to my social media, and I give links to the ways that people can donate to me. So they can donate through Cash App, They can donate through Venmo. They can donate through Buy Me a Coffee. I also do have a Patreon, but the Patreon isn't set up yet because I don't have any extra content on the Patreon for folks to buy a membership. But like I said, once I get monetized, then I'll probably start putting stuff on Patreon. Like maybe nothing explicit. It might be like stuff like with me having like conversations with people without me, um, editing what I say out. Like it'll just be like me being pretty blunt. So it might be videos of that, or it might be videos of me doing like martial arts and stuff like that. I last year I had a really I had I had a nice little training session that I thought was filmed, and then the footage got messed up, and my cousin who filmed some of it, he didn't know how to. It's sad, he's younger than me. He didn't know how to format it so that I could play it. So but it was me at a Kyokushin karate studio, and I was training with the head instructor, who's like a, I don't know, fifth degree or sixth degree black belt or something like that. So he wants everyone to call him master or shidoshi, whatever. I don't care. I'm like, I'm not calling you that. I'm better than you. Like, no, well, I actually am better than him, but that's not the point. Like, it was him and his son, and then one of his other top instructors, and they were making me all spar them back to back. But they didn't really want to spar, and they didn't understand light sparring. Like, we light spar in Muay Thai all the time. We don't, most of the times, we don't do uh, heavy sparring. But I told them, I said, and they even agreed they would like, they wouldn't mind light contact. But then they kept saying, well, I'm not going to respond to this unless you hit me hard. I'm like, that's not what light sparring is. Or they wanted, or in place of like sparring, they wanted to roll. And I'm like, well, rolling and sparring are not the same thing. Like, they didn't, and to me, it was just whack. I'm like, if you can't stand on your own skills as a karateka and Kyokushin karate, that means your skills aren't shit if you gotta keep falling back on Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Because yeah, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is awesome, but this is nominally a karate school, so if you can't spar me in your own style, that means your style isn't really shit to me. So anyway, stuff like that, I wouldn't mind putting on Patreon in the future, like stuff like that, like just uncut footage. BSK says absolutely for real. Hope you do hoodies, insulated travel stuff. Need design though. Yes, remember we were talking about that before. So when I monetize, there's actually um, stuff set up for your channel so that you can market like your own merchandise. And I probably would at least do like T-shirts and stuff like that to say Just A Contrarian. My wife's friends have their own clothing company, which I helped them start up when they first started. Like they just did started out the mud, um, and so I kind of invested in them when they first started. So I know they would definitely make the merch for me, and I could put money into their hands to do so. The Victor 678 says my summer's going great. I'm playing Let's Go Pikachu. I did read the title. You're the only one, probably. When you say Pikachu, are you playing Pokemon Go or you something else? Because I still have Pokemon Go, by the way. So Instacart is a troll. He said we don't need professional help. Yes, we do because we don't get an SSDI check like you. I don't get Social Security disability, my friend. Um, but carry on. You'll get banned. And you kind of displaying the fact you're everything you said just belies the fact that you need that very help that I'm saying that a lot of you need. Low Life says you still exude it, but your literal Your literal YouTube handle name is low life. Since you aren't contributing to this conversation, you're not dropping anything in the Cash App, you can go. You'll be the first troll to be gone today, but you won't be the last. Instacart Shop says we don't live in a free house. We don't get free money in the mail. You mail is MIIL, not MALE. You fucking moron. So you're gone too. I mean, your literal YouTube handle is Instacart Shopper. Like you guys are trolls, and then you don't even come up with clever names to hide the fact that you're trolls. It's like someone with a low IQ saying, calling themselves "I'm an idiot," and then you know thinking people would be confused that they are that very thing when they come onto social media. That's what you guys are displaying. So again, you are gone. Blade Lover, appreciate it, my friend. Thank you. You didn't even have to do that, but the fact that you did, I appreciate it a lot. Um, BSK says, don't even worry about Instacart Shop at BSK. Like I said, it's literally not a live stream unless you have one or two trolls, and they basically just confirm my point that there's a lot of people who come onto these platforms and just display the fact that they lack intelligence or critical reasoning skills or just need professional help. Like even and even if they're younger, it doesn't get them away from that because, like I said, in my 20s, assuming like we had social media like we do now, back in my early 20s, it would be no way at 20, at anywhere from like 17 to 25 years old, I would be in the house like trolling people. Like I say, I would be at the club. I would be out with some ladies. Um, I don't know. It was just so many other things to do, like Dave and Buster's. Like it was just so many things to do. I couldn't fathom being that much of a loner at that age and having nothing better to do than to troll older people online. That's sad. Or and even as a kid, in like say like in the 90s, like I may not have anywhere to go or anything to do on a potential Saturday night, but there was usually like stuff on TV. Like I'll just be like watching TV at night, or on the phone, late night macking, or talking to my girlfriend for like hours on the phone, stuff like that. But I don't know what young people do anymore. But I definitely would. One thing I definitely wouldn't do at their age would be online trolling people. David says, "Have you ever fought MMA style?" No, I've trained at an MMA gym though, and I was supposed to go back to one 2 weeks ago. My friend backed out because we were gonna go to this place and do some Brazilian jiu-jitsu and ground fighting. But our other mutual friend said that we shouldn't go there because they try to hurt you. And my friend's uncle, I think uncle or cousin, was saying that the training, he said he came in for like the introductory training. He said it was brutal. And I was like, well, let me ask you a question. Is your uncle in shape? He was like, no. I was like, well, yeah, that kind of answers the question though, right? But no, I haven't fought MMA style. I have trained at an MMA gym, like Crazy 88 here in Maryland and some other places. Um, and if I do ever fight MMA style, I would do point MMA. I wouldn't do like just full on full contact MMA. I would probably do point MMA. Point MMA is sort of like a fusion between like traditional point style karate and mixed martial arts. Like you still get to go to the ground and ground and pound and stuff like that, but it's like a time limit. So I would try to do point MMA. And when I was first doing Jun Fan Kundo, like 25 years ago, I almost got into Sanda, or it's called Sancho, Chinese kickboxing. I did almost get into that. If I probably, if I had stayed there longer, but I ended up leaving, and then went back. I moved back to College Park, Maryland. When I went back to the University of Maryland, if I had stayed there, I probably would have done Sanda. Um, Sanda is different than Muay Thai. So in Muay Thai, you can't go to the ground, right? In Sanda, Chinese kickboxing, you can go to the ground. So that's the difference. So it's more similar to MMA or point MMA, whereas Muay Thai, the only grappling is like upright grappling, which we call like clinching, like clinch work. So you get to do a lot of stand up grappling, which is might be similar to what you might see in Greco-Roman wrestling, but you're not allowed to go to the ground in Muay Thai, and you're not allowed to strike a person when they're on the ground. So, but like I said, in Sanda, you can strike someone on the ground and you can take them to the ground. So, I kind of wish I did that. Fixer says, "Let's go Pikachu." It's a Switch game to get the to let's Let's Go players in. Okay, Switch game. Oh, Nintendo Switch. Okay, I got you. Nintendo Switch. Sorry. Yeah, the only thing I play is like Pokemon Go, and a lot of people don't even play it anymore. But remember how big it was in 2016? I remember we were all at, I think it was either Baltimore Comic Con or it was the anime convention called the Otakon, and literally everyone had their phone out like doing Pokemon Go. It was kind of fun. Greg Scorn said, "Have you ever had to fight a homeless man?" No, I wouldn't want to fight a homeless man. That someone who's already down on their luck. That's the last thing I would want to do. Now, I'm guessing you mean like, I guess you mean like if he was deranged, right? No, so I never was attacked by like a deranged homeless guy. But yeah, I've had some street encounters, but not with homeless men. My only encounters with homeless men has been feeding them. Like through my fraternity, we've done philanthropy. We've like my fraternity, we work with Mary Purg. Um, Mary Purg is the Maryland branch of PIRG, the Public Interest Research Group. They actually hooked us up with a bunch of food. We actually made the sandwiches and stuff ourselves, put them in these little brown baggies, and we went out to DC with some other fraternities, all like collectively all together, and we walked around and handed out food to the homeless. And then, like I said, we also made the food too. So I wouldn't want to hurt a homeless person. They already have so many things going against them. Like I said, many of them suffer from over like over half of the people on the streets suffer from mental illness or substance abuse. Um, a lot of them are dealing with environmental conditions which may cost them their lives, and like especially homeless overseas, it's way worse. But in any case, there's that, and then recently a lot of states have passed laws that actually made being homeless illegal because they're trying to clean up a lot of these places like in San Francisco and other places where you have tent cities where you just have a, a bunch of vagrants everywhere, and it's become unsightly. So I wouldn't want to kick a man while he's already down unless it's mixed martial arts. But I hope that answers the question. Molly Fern says I can help with merch, hats and shirts because Thailand is cheap. Yeah, I got you. Um, like I said, if I do some merch, it's probably gonna be through my wife's friends because, like I said, I was an early on investor in their company, and I already told them I'd be interested in making probably doing some merch because I actually wanted to do some merch 3 years ago for my online business. I have I don't really talk about it that much, but I have a online, not an online, sorry, a home and hotel massage spa service. Moonly Fern, you probably heard of these in Thailand as well, right? But is a big thing in Philippines, the home massage services. And so I wanted the women to have my logo on their their therapist uniforms, on their scrubs. So we were supposed to do that, but this was like right around when the pandemic hit, so we actually didn't want them to wear our scrubs when they went to appointments, because during the lockdown in the Philippines, they really didn't. It wasn't really allowed, so we had to be a little cautious. Then we also had to advertise the fact that our staff was vaccinated. So I didn't get around to creating the merch at the time, just because it wouldn't have made sense to have them walking around in our scrubs with our logo on it at a time when they were trying to not let people have home and hotel massage services, because they were scared it would spread the infection. Moonlit Fern says also sparring should be practiced and fun, not intentionally hurt anyone. Yeah, they were just on some bullshit, Moonlit Fern. Like it was so many red flags. Like when I came there, the guy was like, um, well, so I told him, I said, like, let's just keep it light, because I thought the purposes of me coming there was that he had some connections with people who were like in Hollywood or that competed professionally, and I was like, I would like to show that I have legitimate skills so that he can connect me with some of these folks. And that was my reason for being there. Unfortunately, my cousin had miscommunicated that point and had him thinking that I wanted to compete professionally. And I'm like, I'm in my 40s. Why do I want to compete professionally at this point? I said, I don't mind taking a few fights just to show my credibility, but I'm not trying to compete professionally as a career at this point, at this stage in my life. In my 30s, sure. Not in my 40s, no. And even if I did compete, it would probably strictly be Muay Thai, not MMA. But in any case, the the first red flag was, he was like, "Well, we're gonna test you out and see how good you are." I was like, "Fine, whatever." Then the other thing was like they didn't have any equipment, and like I told my cousin, "Well, can you go back home and get my equipment?" And the guy was like, "Well, we can just spar without it." I'm like, "Spar without it?" So no, no mouthpiece, no no hand wraps, no gloves. The only thing I had with me was a groin cup. And thank God I did, because I got kicked not once, not twice, but 3 times in the nuts. If I didn't have my groin protector, it would have been a bad night. And again, I was sparring back to back with 3 different people: the head instructor, his son, and the head instructor's friend. Like, so each round they got to rest, but each round I had to go on to another person, like nonstop. And they wanted to not just spar, but they also wanted to like roll and do like chi sao drills, which and go from chi sao to rolling. I'm like, why? If you're doing karate, why are you doing chi sao and why are you rolling? This is not Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and this is not Wing Chun Kung Fu. But and then another red flag was he had his karambit, his little knife clipped to his belt while we were sparring. I'm like, why are you sparring with a knife on? And the gloves they gave me were MMA gloves. No one in MMA spars with MMA gloves. Everyone uses boxing gloves when they train. So that was another problem. And then, Kyokushin, they don't really hit to the head. So I think that's why they didn't mind not having any headgear on or any mouthpiece. I'm like, what kind of joke? I'm like, this is a joke. And that's why it felt so weird, because it's like, I'm like, let's do light contact, which makes sense since no one's wearing any equipment in the first place. Why would you want to go medium or hard when no one has on any equipment? That doesn't make any sense. And then the guy was even saying, because he has a short person complex, the dude must have been like 5'4" or something like that. He was saying, because of my height and stuff, he said whenever I spar with people who are bigger than me, I consider them a threat. I'm like, what? Like this was such a joke. So I wish I did have it on I had got all the footage to film and put on YouTube. There is one video where I show a snippet of it where one of his friends like clips me as soon as we start sparring, and then it goes out because I didn't have the rest of the footage available. But the guy clips me and then he pins me to the ground and sticks my head. He shoves my head into the ground, and they're like fight out of it. I'm like, how am I supposed to fight out of it when he has my head shoved to the ground? So I just tapped. They was like, oh man, you shouldn't have tapped. You should have. I was like, dude, this is supposed to be light sparring. Why am I supposed to fight out of someone pushing my neck into the mattress? I mean, into the not the mattress, into the gym mat. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not breaking my neck just to prove a point. It was crazy. I had a whole bunch of scratches on me and stuff because, like, again, we were wearing MMA gloves instead of like regular boxing gloves. It's like I was like, I'm not going back. I told my cousin, I said, I'm not going back. They don't know how to spar. So if I do come back, I'm coming back with a friend who knows martial arts because my cousin didn't. He knows boxing, but he doesn't understand martial arts. He doesn't understand why those guys were being so lame. And I wish I could have got that footage to show people. It sounds like you had an adventurous childhood. You said I'm 30 years old. I've only been with two women. I've never done any drugs. I keep to myself and have little interaction, even with my family. It's a quiet life. Sounds smart to me. That sounds smart to me, Blade Lover. Like, uh, my childhood wasn't that adventurous. So, I as a kid, I was in Baltimore. Then when I was 7 years old, I moved to Illinois. Lived out there. First started martial arts, judo, and I was like a typical '80s kid, like watching Saturday morning cartoons, playing, like Nintendo, um, stuff like that. Like just a typical Midwest kid, I think. Nothing really adventurous. I would ride my dirt bike everywhere. I was a nerd, and I would probably go to the library like every weekend and just stay in the library for hours reading books, and I would check them out and bring them home. Um, I mean, I guess compared to like if you're 30, the typical Gen X childhood is more adventurous because we got to do more. Like parents weren't so concerned about being helicopter parents at the time. Like they pretty much let us do whatever we wanted. They used to tell us that if anything, they used to tell us we need to be outside more, even though we were always outside. But occasionally I stayed inside so I could read books and play video games or watch cartoons. But it was like a typical Gen X childhood, I guess. Um, nothing too risque. Till like I said, I moved back to Baltimore as a teenager, and I guess I lost some of my innocence in Baltimore because it was now the '90s. The '90s was like one of the most violent periods of America back then. So things were a little bit more tumultuous. But again, I didn't really get into a lot of trouble. Um, I wasn't having a lot of sex or anything like that. um, yeah, I mean, I have friends and family, and some family I stayed away from, just like you said. Uh, it wasn't until like I was an adult that things became more out there. Joining the military, and going off to college and stuff like that. That's when things became a little bit more wild. But up until then, not really so much. Loud enough says I'm a thug, but I have feelings, and my baby mother hurt every last one of them. Dude, if you're being genuine, and I don't know if you are, I'm assuming you are, right? If you're being genuine, when you're hurting, use that motivation to hit the gym. Seriously. I think the gym is probably a better psychologically for you than sometimes seeing a shrink. And I'm saying this from a person who has a background in psychology. I think the gym can be just as therapeutic, if not more, for like getting over a loss. And I mean, plus we live in a time where we're so connected socially that it's easier to get over things like I said, hit the gym, man. Use Tinder if you have to and swipe right. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't don't let any one woman crush you like that. And same thing for the women out there. Don't let a guy crush you like that. Like, hit the gym, make yourself better, and when you make yourself better, you'll attract better people to you. So, that's what I'll say on that. Greg's corner says my uncle used to beat me with a pillowcase full of D batteries. Oh, when I was a kid, because I would drink his cognac and then he would lock me in his closet. Yeah, that's not good, dude. D batteries. Plus, why are you drinking cognac as a kid? I couldn't stand the taste of alcohol. Like as a kid, like I would smell it, and it just smelled like poison to me, which is probably why I don't drink today. I didn't really start drinking until like college, and when I did it, I was just like a social drinker. I never did it because I enjoyed it. So it was about like my last year of college. I just stopped drinking. Like the last time I got like drunk, we went to this club in Baltimore, and I had it was called a Tokyo tea. So if you heard of a Tokyo tea, it's sort of like a Long Island tea, but they instead of the instead of it having soda in it, it has like the what's it the Pucker's alcohol. So it tastes fruity, but it's pure alcohol. It's like six different alcohols mixed together. The two of them had me wasted so much so that I got sick while I was in the club and couldn't find my friends. So I ended up having to wander downtown Baltimore to get to the Greyhound to get wait back out to get back out to Silver Spring, and from there make my way back to my college. And when I got back, they were like, "Where's Amon?" And I'm like, "I'm here, you bastard! You left me." They was like, We didn't know what happened to you." I was like, after that, I was like, "Yeah, I'm not drinking anymore." I was like, "Cause I don't even enjoy alcohol." And then, like I said, getting getting twisted in the club to me was not good. So, but as a kid, I couldn't even stand the smell of alcohol. So you're kind of bold that you could drink cognac. I couldn't imagine trying to drink something that strong. Moonlit Fern says Muay Thai is super fun, but if you intentionally hurt someone, then it's disrespect to the culture and sport. Absolutely. Like no one, like most knock Muay aren't out there to try to intentionally hurt someone unless they got an actual grievance with that person, with that other person. But for the most part, it's about the sport. And for a lot of people, it's about like making a life to and taking care of your family. Because a lot of those, a lot of those people who become professional Muay Thai fighters, those knock Muay are usually from really poor places like Isan and places like that, right? And that's the best way they can support themselves and their family is by becoming a Thai boxer. Greg's Corner says, "Would you grapple with a non-hetero man? I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that." You mean competitively? Sure. Now, if you mean like then, so that's I've seen this in so many Brazilian jiu-jitsu forums. Like, do people feel comfortable uh, rolling with rolling with gay men? Uh, so for one, I'm not really into Brazilian jiu-jitsu like that. I've given my reasons for that. I won't go into it here unless you're curious. But um, I I mean I really wouldn't care. Actually, I'd probably be more comfortable rolling with a gay dude than with an attractive woman, for the fact that I don't have any attraction to the man, but the woman I do, and you know what I'm saying, that could be volatile. Plus, a lot of men don't want to roll with women because they're scared that a woman will think too they're trying to be sexual. So if it was a choice between like an attractive woman or a gay or bisexual dude, I would roll with the bisexual dude. As far as competitively, it wouldn't matter because when we talk about competitively, you're just trying to win the match. So if you're just talking about like submission, like a submission grappling, excuse me, a submission grappling contest, that wouldn't matter. But if you mean like where we're just practicing at the gym, like rolling and stuff like that, then unless the guy was like flaming, like if he's flaming, then no, I'm not doing it. But if it's just like a regular dude and he just happens to, that's his orientation, I'm not going to trip on that. I would be more comfortable with him than with like a really sexually attractive woman. So Samuel Sweeney's funny. I'm going to allow that. That's funny. Moonlit, for instance, I have Let's Go Evie for Switch, but my little nephew took it. Crazy Mood names. Excuse me. Crazy Mood names. Ice Cube says, "Damn, Samuel's a professional hater." Right. I mean, he. I can't see his avatar, but does he have like the Charlie Murphy thing in his avatar? Because that would be funny as shit. Like either that or Dave Chappelle from the Haters Bowl. That would be hilarious. But that's funny though. Professional hater. They should make that a real thing. Seriously, that would be funny as shit. Anyway, Mother first says, yeah, they train young here, Muay Thai and Jiu Jitsu. And when they have a real fight to compete, they show all love and respect. Dang, sorry about getting kicked in the balls. I feel for you. No, so I had on my cup. At least that's the only protective equipment I had on was my cup. And like I said, thank goodness I did because once is an accident, twice is a coincidence, third time is a pattern. Like I said, I'm gonna give you the first two times. The first time was just an accident. The second time, it's a coincidence. The third time, that's a pattern. It shows like you don't have good control of your technique. Like I've once accidentally eye jabbed someone, but against, and I think it was once or twice. But again, that was once or twice. It was not three times. Once you've done it more than twice, it's a pattern. It's not an accident. It's not a coincidence. But I got kicked three times. Luckily, I did have the groin cup on. It just it just made me not respect like karate dudes. So, and I don't want to diss all karate people because some people really know what they're doing. When like there's some good karatekas who go into MMA, but they weren't. And I even asked them because I was like, well, you guys are trying to test me to see whether I'm ready for MMA. I was like, do you guys train for MMA? And they start laughing. They was like, oh no, we just go to tournaments and stuff. And I'm like, so you do all these little dirty tactics at karate tournaments? I was like, I don't even. At that point, I didn't even respect them anymore. I was like, yeah, that's like, y'all phony because you wouldn't be doing this at an MMA gym because they will put you in your place doing some of the stuff they were doing. So, Sam Sweeney said, yeah, bro, nut shots in the ring is insane. Yeah, three times, yo. Three times. It's like, that's crazy. Only for instance, I broke my wrists not wearing gloves. All my carpal bones shattered. Never hit a forehead. Trust me. Oh, I know. That's actually that's a technique we learn in Filipino martial arts and in old school boxing, like bare knuckle boxing, or in Lethway, if you're familiar with Burmese boxing. Top part of the skull, hit that, break the knuckles. Um, and that's actually where you're supposed to headbutt too, right here. Just the hardest part of the skull. You know, so like say if you're fighting someone bare knuckle like on the street, like you wouldn't do it in like a competition because everyone is wearing padded gloves. But say on the street, or if you're doing bare knuckle boxing like in Lethway, you can use the top of the skull to break someone's knuckles. Like just like break their knuckles. Free technique. Courtesy of um, what we call dirty boxing in Filipino martial arts. Sam Sweeney says people underestimate the power of a good body shot in a street fight. Yeah, that's true. I mean, even in boxing, like often it's not often the knockout hit in boxing is a well placed liver shot, right? And we know that, like especially like say you got an orthodox boxer fighting a southpaw, so the southpaw, you know, that's open, especially if they carrying a high guard, and the person can go in and go for that low shot, that liver shot. Now, see, in like Muay Thai kickboxing, it's gonna be you're probably not gonna get hit with a good body shot as far as the hands are concerned, because well, at least especially in Muay Thai, you're not gonna try to go dip that low because you're gonna make yourself vulnerable to get kneed. But they might kick you, they might try to kick you in the liver, like a good roundhouse, or if they can clinch you and come in with a knee, and you're a southpaw, like that part is open for you. So yeah, a good body shot to the liver or to the floating ribs, like right there under the lats, get those floating ribs. That's a good, that those are really vulnerable points. Moonlit Fern says my army friend and childhood friend Jesse won his first two fights against giants, but tore his knee up and can't fight no more. But I helped him rehabilitate his leg. That's what's up. Yeah, I mean, you know, Muay Thai can be a short-lived career. This is why, like, traditionally, like, people would like I said, they might start as children. Like they've banned it now for like kids under. I don't think. I think kids now under 13 can't compete. They still train, but they used to fight as in some places they used to fight as early as 6 years old or 8 years old. They just banned that like 3 or 4 years ago. But yeah, so you might say you started out your professional career in Muay Thai like at 10 years old. Like you were probably done by the time you turned 16 to 18. And on average, probably earlier than that. Like the average career was probably like 5 years in Muay Thai because you take so much wear and tear. And especially and like a foreigner coming here, they don't. It's gonna be harder for them. That's why for us, like just doing a 6 month stint here in Thailand is good enough. Like you got like professional kickboxers to come over to Thailand and just do like a 6 month stint like at the training camps, and they take a few professional Muay Thai fights just to build up their credibility within the kickboxing world. But most of them don't stay within the Muay Thai realm. And you have some of the Muay Thai fighters who are smart, who start off in Thailand and then they start doing Muay Thai in like Europe and Japan, where it's easier for them compared to in their homeland. That's what Bukal did. He extended his career for a long time by going overseas to fight. And Muli friends said, we 40 when we say Saturday cartoons. Right. Muli friends says exactly in the 80s they said get out, but when them streetlights came on, we run home quick or get that belt whipping. I never so yeah, I never I don't think I ever stayed out till like it was like dark, unless I was like right there in front of the house. Like when it was dark, we could be outside as long as we were at the house, because we'd be outside like catching fireflies in a bottle, stuff like that. Like that's what we used to do at night. Like we'd be outside, and we could be outside as long as we were with in the yard. Like if we were in the yard, they let us stay outside at night, and we would do stuff like playing um, hide and seek, or trying to catch fireflies, stuff like that. Moonlit Ferns is telling you guys chat, like, subscribe, and share. Okay, uh, so we can build a loving and positive community. Appreciate it, Moonlit Fern. Let me get some coffee so I can help my voice out. Greg's Corner said, "You '80s kid had to survive with Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, the Night Stalker, and John Wayne Gretzky on the streets." See, I didn't even know of these people until like the '90s, though. We didn't know about that. The only thing that they taught us to be scared of in the '80s was like stranger danger, right? Stranger danger, and there was this there was this urban myth that uh, Satanists would come and kidnap kids on Halloween. That was the biggest thing. Like, so every decade has its boogeymans, right? Back then, it was all about Satanists down on Halloween and kidnap kids, and that was so far from the truth. Like, I even had a friend when I was in Illinois. She told me that she had friends that were actual Satanists, and she said they would laugh when they heard people saying that they thought they were abused and kidnapped kids. She's like, they don't have. It's like they could not be the least bit concerned with doing anything crazy like. Most Satanists were probably just atheists, though. Like they were atheists who just like using Christian symbology to make fun of people's beliefs, which to me is not cool, but I get the humor in it. But yeah, that was the big scare fear back then was stranger danger, the Cold War. You know, if you ever saw the movie Red Dawn, everyone thought that was like a real like that was a possible scenario. We would get invaded by Russia or North Korea or Cuba. um, that's what like Satanists. They even did a thing about Satanists in this old Tom Hanks and what was this movie? It was called Dragnet. Yeah, it was a comedy called Dragnet, and it was like Tom Hanks and Dan Aykroyd playing these detectives, and they went undercover in the Satanist cult. But yeah, that was the big scare of the '80s. Molin, for instance, yeah, even just running helps boost your mind. I lost both parents, and running and swimming helped me heaps. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think people underrate how connected physical fitness is with mental fitness, and there's a lot of research showing the connection, but I don't think it's appreciated in pop culture how much like people see them as two separate realms, and they're not. Like people think, when you're having psychological distress, you go seek professional help, and yes, you should. But you often find it's the case that people who have underlying psychological issues tend to not be very physically fit, especially like people suffering from major depression. A lot of them tend to be overweight and introverted and stuff like that, and going out and being physically fit will actually help a lot. Like I said, for the person who has like mild to moderate depression, like, and I'm someone who suffers from clinical depression. If you suffer from mild to moderate depression, it might be actually more beneficial for you to be physically fit than for you to be on antidepressants, because antidepressants, the even today, it's just not clear how helpful they are. Like, there's actual people within the psychiatric community who think that a lot of antidepressants are basically just placebos. I mean, that's a genuine concern within both the psychiatric and the professional psychological communities that antidepressants are at best has scattershot effectiveness. Like when I say scattershot, like they can't really pinpoint what's going wrong, but you know, some 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 of those some of those will hit the target, but it's scattershot. That's so a lot of them see that as the best efficiency for antidepressants is this sort of scattershot efficiency, and then at worst they just think they're just placebos, which is why often it's the case that cognitive therapy is just as effective or even more effective than psychoactive medication when it comes to clinical depression. But what is also very effective for mild to moderate depression is being physically fit, particularly cardio running, or if you want go hiking, rucking, um, stuff like that. Anything that's gonna get that cardio pumping will probably help people's mental fitness. Only for instance, a real talk. I was drinking real young because my grandfather forced me, but he was a PTSD super traumatized vet. I miss him though. He was a real one. Yeah, that's very common within the military community. It's PTSD. So I didn't serve in a combat arena, but I've known folks who did. I actually worked with a guy, uh, and he wasn't even infantry. He was a combat engineer, right, in the army, and he had PTSD because he was. We worked together in the same office, and one of the partners of the company said that the guy was calling him sometimes at night, stressing him out, talking about he wanted to end his life and all this sort of stuff. And he was like, Amon, I'm glad you don't do stuff like that. I was like, yeah, I was like, that's not really, that's not how I really respond to stress. But I think eventually they had to let that guy go, which is sad because he was doing well. This is, we were doing sales. He did well, but he had those demons. So Greg Swan said I was a very bold child. Um, Uncle Sheldon would tell me you got way too much damn self confidence and not enough damn sense. One time, my brother stole his TV and we threw it off his roof on his car. Damn. Yeah, yo, you guys were bugging. I, nah, I wouldn't do that to my uncle. Like, my uncle was violent, not to me, but to his children. He was violent, particularly to my cousin. He used to beat her something horrible when we were kids, and he was a Navy vet and I think he had started using when he was stationed overseas. I know he went to Vietnam and the Philippines, and I think he started using over there. And he's been off and on with his addiction since then. He was violent. I would not have risked doing anything to catch his ire. Not at all. Like, mm-mm. Sarah's back. What's up, Sarah? She said, "Hey, brother, what's the topic tonight?" So it was basically just a ask anything sort of format. I was nominally asking people what were they doing for this summer, or if they had plans, or if they've already done stuff this summer. And I was saying that I do have some traveling plans this summer, but I didn't want to be too specific until I actually did it. But most of my plans have just revolved around traveling and maybe doing some more training, like martial arts training. Samuel says that he's just talking to chat. Yeah, pretty much. But I do that once every week, Samuel. Like there's usually a topic every week. I mean every day, but at least once a week I'll just do a format like this. This week was the second time I did that. Like the first time was 2 days ago, like right before the debate. We had a pre-debate conversation, but it turned into like a sort of like ask me anything format. And so this is the second one to end off the week. But most of it has a given topic. Moonlit for instance, that's your philosophy kicking in. Um, one time okay, two times get suspicious, three times is full on pattern. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing when you're talking about like operational security. Like say like how I talk about how I always go on runs outside, right? So if I'm running around the neighborhood, I meet up with someone. First time, just, just a random accident. Second time I meet up with someone, coincidence. Third time is a pattern. That means they're actually at this point trying to track me. um, and it goes for a lot of things. So like someone kicking me in the nuts. The first time was an accident. Second time was a coincidence. The third time is a pattern. And it's like I if I wanted to fire off at the person for doing it, then they would have saw me as the bad guy because we're not wearing protection. And I said, let's go light. But I also have this guy who has this Napoleonic complex. And for the nuts, the Napoleonic complex is stupid because Napoleon didn't have a Napoleon complex himself, but that's besides the point. Anyway, he had this Napoleonic complex about being short. So he said anytime he sparred against bigger people, he was more likely to see them as a threat. And I was like, that's all the more reason for us to keep it light contact. They were the ones who wanted to go into medium or hard contact sparring. And I'm like, why? It's not proving anything by doing so. And then another another thing I didn't mention earlier is this is how you can tell people don't don't have good technique, because when you when you pull a punch or kick and they don't acknowledge it, that's disrespectful, because you're showing them respect by showing them, hey, I could have hit you right there, but I pulled the kick. Like there was so many times I pulled my head kicks because we're not wearing headgear and no one had on any mouthpiece. So I'm intentionally pulling my head kicks as a sign of respect. And you know, when you're sparring, you're supposed to acknowledge it, like, hey, you could have got me there. They never acknowledged it. So to me, that was like, you guys don't know how to spar. Because if I see someone pulling a technique on me to save me from some pain, I'm acknowledging, like, hey, you would have got me there. And they didn't do that. Greg's Corner says people who have intentional habits think you don't notice the patterns, but you do when my boy Milton would intercept his mom's child support. He thought she didn't know, but it didn't take long to notice. Wow. That's messed up. Yes, some people some people overrate their some people overrate their intelligence. Greg's Corner is a good example of the Dunning Kruger effect, which I've mentioned before. But the Dunning Kruger effect is when people who are incompetent within some field, um, the problem is they're blind to the fact that they're incompetent in their field, and they will overrate their competence. And I said, like, the most common example is driving. Almost everyone thinks they're an above average driver, but that goes against statistical data, which shows that most people fall within the bulk of the distribution as average drivers. Most people are not exemptional drivers, and most people aren't shitty drivers. They're somewhere in between, but everyone thinks they're above average, right? That's one example of the Dunning Kruger effect, but it also will be in the realm of like people overrate their intelligence, and these are usually people who are below average intelligence who overrate their intelligence, because the people who are the highest intelligence often underrate their intelligence. Like there's a reverse. So there's another aspect of the Dunning-Kruger effect that affects people who are overly competent in the field. People who are overly competent in the field don't realize that most people aren't their level. So it's a sort of cognitive bias that affects people who are incompetent and overly competent. And only for instance, sorry to hear, Greg. Yeah, that's a messed up story. Uh, Crazy Muda says, "Do you remember the old bum fight videos? These were very morally questionable, but it was funny. But it was funny when a guy went to Dr. Phil Justice Phil and called out his ethics, saying he's no better. Yeah, I definitely remember that episode. That was hilarious. That was hilarious. Um, yeah, I didn't watch the bum fights though. The closest thing I watch are Street Beefs. I think Street Beefs does it much better. If you ever watch Street Beefs on YouTube, by the way, I would do Street Beefs if someone wanted to call me out and be like, "Hey man, I want to fight you." I'd be like, "All right, let's do Street Beefs," because I would be able to put that on my YouTube channel, right? I would do Street Beefs, but yeah, I wouldn't do bum fights. And he was right to call out Dr. Phil. The reason Dr. Phil doesn't do professional psychology anymore is because he got hit with some some malpractice back in the day, but he doesn't talk about that. Moonlit Furnace says new Muay Thai. Did you guys see the lightning? Anyway, um, Moonlit Furnace says new Muay Thai will eat your legs up, all shins, knees, and elbows. So yeah, I think you probably know this Moonlit Furnace, but there's like different sub styles within Muay Thai. Like you got the guys who are the knee specialists, the Muay Cow. Um, you got the guys who prefer like hands, who are called the Muay Mat. You got the guys who are like the elbow specialists. I forgot what they call themselves. And you got the guys who are like the technical specialists, people like Sanchai. Um, and then you got the guys who love the kicking. So you got those sub styles, and then I guess you can also call Dutch style kickboxing a sub style of Muay Thai as well. So it, it's really not new. It's just that now you have certain gyms that will specialize in those sub styles of Muay Thai. So you might go somewhere where they prefer like the knee specialist, and you can usually tell a knee specialist because they have really developed abs and really like overdeveloped quads, like thigh muscles. That's you see someone like that. That's probably a Muay Thai guy, a knee specialist. Be afraid of him. Do not. That's not someone you want to try to do any bobbing and weaving or ducking because might not turn out well for you. I said morning for instance they training at 6 a.m. in Bangkok. Yeah, because one they gotta beat the sun. By the time it's like 8 a.m. it's hot as shit in Bangkok. So yeah, they're gonna be up early trying to get it in. Before that heat kicks in. Because and then they train twice. They train twice a day, so that you get up early in the morning, you do your early morning run. Then they start doing like conditioning, and some drills. Take a break, they go eat lunch and all that sort of stuff. Then they come back, uh, like in the early afternoon, and they might probably do some more conditioning, doing some sparring and target pad practice. I mean, like not target. Some the Thai pad practice, stuff like that, and then do like some strength training, and that's usually it for the day. And they'll do that 6 days a week and be off on Sunday, because almost everyone will use that Sunday to like take a break. So that's something I do want to do. I want to go back to Thailand and come back through a student visa. The student visa is good for 3 months, but I've heard that you can extend it so you can end up being there for 6 months. Because ideally, I would like to do it for 6 months. But even if I did it for 3 months, that would be fine. I know I could get in at least 2 professional fights within 3 months. Like the last time I was there, I just did a I just did a seminar for one night, and the crew, my coach, was like, "Hey man," he said, "If you want to come back, he said, you stay here for 2 weeks. He said, I can get you in a fight within 2 weeks." I'm like, "Word?" I was like, "Well," I said, "I would love to, but," I was like, "I'm actually on my honeymoon right now." He was like, "Oh, okay." But I was like, "Yeah." I said I'll come back. This was at Venom training camp in Pattaya. I haven't been back yet, but I told him like one day I will try to come back and train so I can get in a few professional fights with him. Cause like he, that was that was literally something. He's like, "Man, I can get you fighting within 2 weeks." I'm like, "Damn, 2 weeks?" So I would love to do that, and I would like to. If I do, I'll go back to Venom training camp to do that. I don't know if I'll get to find the same crew, KRU crew, the coach, but I'm pretty sure someone might acquiesce to get me into a fight. Crazy Muda says, "I think they need to start a children's boxing federation like the Pop Warner teams. It's a good sport to keep kids out of the streets because you can get your anger out and fight dudes safe and fairly." So I mean, they have. I'm guessing you mean here in America, right? There's MMA gyms here that let kids train. What they do is they separate the kids from the adults because most adults like myself, when we see kids in the class, so we that just turns us off. Like, this is a it makes us think of like traditional karate and judo and taekwondo that are just um, glorified babysitting. So they'll usually separate the children's boxing and MMA from the adults. But usually, a lot of these places will start off kids because, in at least American martial arts business, kids are like the bread and butter of most martial arts schools. So they do have them, but I guess it's not as big here as it is overseas because there's a lot more kids to train over there. Especially, like I said, in Thailand, a lot of them would start off early and train as kids because that was the best way for these poor kids in Thailand to earn a living. Especially, like I said, coming out of these really destitute places called Isan in Thailand and some other places. Moonlit Fern can tell you about that, like places like Isan. It's where you get Isan is where you either get a lot of Muay Thai champions or a lot of bar girls. So, and Moonlit, can you confirm that for me? Like, Isan is where you find a lot of Muay Thai boxers and champions, and on the other hand, a lot of bar girls because of how poor that area is. Only for instance, and they could do damage to most adults. Exactly, because like sometimes when they have Americans come out there, right, they'll have them fight teenagers, and some of these guys they're like in it like mid to late 20s, maybe even early 30s. And they're like, why I gotta fight this 15-year-old? And then they realize this 15-year-old is kicking their ass. So yeah. Moon Fern says they just passed the law for them to train in school. I mean, my favorite UFC fighter is Sugar Shane O'Malley. Sugar Sean O'Malley, he trained here in Bangkok. Okay. Jack's actually looked like David Goggins. So I looked that up like a month ago because people said that, and when I saw the dude and what he was, I take that as a compliment. Like I said, he's a former SEAL and he's an ultra marathoner. I haven't even done a regular marathon yet. I've done half marathons, but I've not done a full marathon. The fact that anyone would compare me to a guy who was a former ultra marathoner, I'll take that as a compliment, personally. Only friend said, bro, we 80s babies when we drink out the garden hose and play football in the rain. Man, I literally still kind of do these things. Like when I'm training out in the backyard, we had a hose. It's hot. It's in the summer, so I'm like drinking out the hose, and I'm pretty sure my neighbor's like, "What the hell is he doing? It's hot, right?" So I'm literally drinking out the hose still now sometimes, or I'll be like training outside in the rain or running in the rain. That also comes from my army background. If it ain't raining, we ain't training. But yeah, I still do some of those things. Moonly Friend says, "Yo, bro, Jacksonville was rough in the '90s too, though. The '90s was the '90s was an exemplary decade overall, Moonlit Fern, just because. So if you're tracing like the history of violence, it has been going steadily down since pre-modern society, right? Um, like it was like you had like tribal society where it was tr- just day in day out warfare. Then you get to like these tribal nations and um, early ancient civilization, and then you finally get into the Middle Ages or feudal era, and things get more violent again because after like the fall of the Roman Empire and all that sort of stuff, like things become more violent like towards the Dark Ages and early Middle Ages, and it kind of plateaus. Then you hit the modern era, like around the 1500s, 1600s. It dips a little bit. You get into the industrial age. It dips a little bit, but then it spikes again in World War One and World War Two, right? And then it's from the 50s onwards. It's like steadily downwards, with the exception of wars here and there. But by the time like the crack epidemic sets in the 80s and 90s, it it spikes again, and that's a unique thing for the 90s because throughout this history of a downward trend of the history of violence, it spikes in the 90s, and it started going down in the 2000s. It's been like a little blip right now, but violence still has been going down. Like it's gone down to almost like 60s level right now, but in certain inner cities like Baltimore and St. Louis, and Chicago and Gary, Indiana, and Philly, and a bunch of other places, you've seen these little mini spikes that are almost close to what it was in the 90s. Not as bad, but close to it. But by and large, across America, like in the 90s, it was just a huge spike in violence that was kind of like not um that was kind of like going against the trend at the time of a steady downward slope in human violence. And I mean, I guess there was a bunch of factors that went into that in the 90s. Like I said, there was the crack thing, there was poverty, and just a bunch of things that had this confluence of factors that made life so violent in the 90s. So all of us that survived in the 90s are tough. All of us Gen X kids that made it out of the 90s, we're the tough ones because a lot of us didn't survive. And even some of the ones who did survive are still locked up. So, Greg Swan said drinking out the hose is a weird flex that a lot of people are proud of. People consider people less of a person for not drinking out of the hose for real. No, it's not that. It was just the fact that, I mean, we didn't have money to just go to the store anytime we wanted. At least not all of us. Some rich kids, there were some rich kids in the 80s that could do that. But a lot of us, hey, we're playing outside all day anyway. It's a hose, free water. Yeah, so I mean, a lot of us are proud of that, just showing how adaptive we were back then, as compared to now, where it seems like kids have a little bit easier. Like you know, you can run in and out the house all day. Like a lot of our parents and grandparents didn't allow us to run in and out the house like that. Even if we did have like Kool-Aid and all that sort of stuff all day long, like Kool-Aid and iced tea. It was like, nah, once you come in, you stand inside. So either stay outside or stay in, but you're not going to keep coming in and out of the house. That's what we used to hear. So a lot of us would just stay outside. And if we could go to another friend's house and get some snacks and some juice or soda, we would. But if we didn't have any money, then we just stuck outside and drank some hose water. We might run to the convenience store and get the little 25-cent candies or the 25-cent bag of chips. Greg said, I would never drink out of a hose once I found out a goddamn dead fish inside a hose when I was a kid. Don't know how it got there, but it did. I think someone did that on purpose. Like they had to sound like someone stuck a goldfish in one of those hoses, because I don't know how that would make it through the pipes. If you flush something down the toilet, it would have made it into this. It would have made its way into the sewers, not not through your faucet, your faucet going to your outside hose. That would be a weird flex. Sound like someone stuffed it in there to be funny. Only, for instance, sometimes therapists need a therapist and they not focused on you. They focus on their paycheck. That's true. So not all therapists are equal. You have some who are quacks. And there's even a term for when a therapist will actually introduce another mental health problem to a person already receiving care from them. It's called a iatrogenic illness. This isn't unique to psychological help though. Like this happens in hospitals too. iatrogenic illnesses where people will get sick while they're in the hospital because they are introduced to an illness that's being spread around the hospital setting. But that can also help happen in a psychological setting. That a person might initially come in suffering from like depression or anxiety disorder, and then the therapist might put in their head that they have a whole other illness, like they have, um, you know, maybe multiple personalities or some sort of somatoform disorder. But and then yeah, some therapists do also receive therapy. In classical psychoanalysis, you actually had to undergo psychoanalysis before you became an analyst yourself, and that could take like 10 years. Like there's no limit to how long psychoanalysis could take. So so if you were going to a traditional psychodynamic therapist, particularly a psychoanalyst, which is the most traditional version of that, they might be undergoing um, psychoanalysis themselves, and psychoanalysis is can be like 3 days a week or something like that. So GJC says, "Hey, hey, happy Canada's Day long weekend." Oh, I didn't even realize it was a holiday out there. I'm sorry. So yeah, happy Canada's Day to everyone who's Canadian. I wasn't aware. Sorry, guys. Moonlit Fern says, Greg, we got king cobras and monitor lizards and pythons everywhere. Ugh. Stillman's Mental Health Month. Keep it 100. We out here. Yep. I did that whole segment on that Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And so what I actually discovered about that, by the way, since you mentioned it, is that they intentionally made it the same month as Pride Month because they were just kind of acknowledging that a lot of people, a lot of men who are dealing with their issues with their own sexual orientation also are dealing with mental health issues as well. No surprise there, right? I mean, anytime you calling yourself non-binary and that you can just switch your gender just by saying so, there's some underlying issues. So yeah, it's so I found out yeah it is actually intentional that Pride Month and Men's Health Awareness Month fall on the same month because they wanted those two things to coincide with each other because of the fact that a lot of people in the LGBTQ community have underlying mental health issues. So for those who were wondering why they put those on the same month, that's why. Moonlit Furnace says Army and Navy have it rough. The chair the chair force got it easy. Let's be honest. Uh, depends on the MOS. Like except for Space Force, every branch of the military has combat positions and stuff that can be extremely stressful, including the Air Force. Some of the stuff the Air Force can do can really be important to our national security. I can't get into that too much because that's above my pay grade, but there's some things that the Air Force and Space Force do that are very critical to our national security and can be highly stressful. So, um, Vaughn says, I have no plans for the summer. I'll be rotting in my room all summer. Hey, Vaughn, even if you don't go anywhere, like I said, you don't have to go anywhere to make the most out of your summer. I mean, do stuff to work on yourself. Like I said, hit the gym. If you can't hit the gym, put on a pair of sneakers and go for a run. Um, maybe start uh, your own social media platform. Like maybe you might become a TikToker or a YouTuber, Twitch streamer. If you play video games, why not maybe trying to monetize it and do a live stream on it like some of these other guys do? Kai Cenat, there's nothing particularly talent. There's I don't want to dump on the guy, but there's nothing particularly remarkable about what Kai Cenat does that what a lot of other younger people couldn't do. So if you're stuck in the house, man, take advantage of it. Like I said, if you play video games, maybe start a Twitch account and start live streaming your video games. Um, I'm sure you're talented at something. Like I said, even if it's just video games, live stream your video games. You might be surprised how many people want to follow you. Or like I said, get in shape. You might meet people while you're getting in shape. Um, or if you want to look, or maybe look around for a new type of work or something. I don't know how old you are, but assuming you're old enough to work, maybe look for a little part-time job during the summer. Too many of us try to compare our lives to what we see on Instagram and stuff like that, and most people's lives just aren't that interesting. Everyone's lives seem interesting because they only put the most interesting parts of their lives on Instagram and Facebook to share with other people. They don't share all the hours they're just sitting around not doing anything. They don't show when they're just sitting at home watching TV, watching Netflix. They don't show when they're just studying or working in some little dead end job, like, because that's not exciting to show on social media. So don't don't be misled thinking everyone's leading some interesting life just because that's what they show on their social media accounts. It's a very it's a very it- it's it's a very fabricated thing that people show on social media about their lives. So if you're not traveling anywhere, if you're not doing anything, you're 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 the majority, not the minority. So don't get burned out about that. Just do what you can do. Like get in shape. You know, if you want to start your own social media platform where you can attract an audience, do that. And if you do, by the way, just give me a shout out. But yeah, summer just because the summer doesn't mean you're supposed to be a superstar. Most life isn't like Instagram. Yeah, Sammy says going to run, my guy. Yeah. Vaughn says my own brother kicked me in the nuts. I don't know. I don't have a brother, but that stuff happens. Moonlit Furnace is not a promo, but myself and my wife are here to talk always. Appreciate that. Moonlit Furnace says, Preacher, bro, you speaking facts. Richard was in the house. Greg Swan says, my brother's a terrible driver, but he swears he's the best. He hits four people and got acquitted 3 times. Damn. The one time he didn't, it was a little person and he still has his license. He's a menace. Mm. Moonlit Furnace says no gloves, ropes on hands. Yeah, talking about the traditional bare knuckle style. The old school ones, I avoid sparring them. Moonlit Furnace says no, I'm on a 1 year student visa. Oh, they have a 1 year student visa. I thought the student visa was only for 3 months, and beyond that, you had to like get an extension. Because I know they make the extension easy, but I thought the current student visa was only 3 months long. Um, One of the friends says you can get away with 1 year student visas and stay away from Pattaya. It's disgusting. Go to Lapini and Bangkok. I've been to Lapini Park. It's nice. Um, the only reason we were in Pattaya, it wasn't to go to the red light district. We went to Pattaya originally because that's where you that's the jump off to get to all the islands, and we were trying to get to the Monkey Island, and we got there too late. So my wife was like, "You want to do some Muay Thai?" I was like, "Yeah," but I thought she meant just go check out some fights. But when she looked it up, she was like, "Well, there aren't any fights tonight." So she was like, "Why don't you just go train?" This is literally this is why she's my wife. She was like, well, since we can't see any fights tonight, why don't you just go train Muay Thai? I was like, yeah, and literally found she's the one who found Venom training camp while we were in Pattaya, and we went there and she just watched me train. So sh my wife did that, right? That's why we're married because she's that awesome. But yeah, I mean, I know Pattaya is just a big red light district, but we didn't even go there for that. We did walk down Walking Street, but that was during the daytime. You know, walking down Walking Street during the daytime and at night are completely two different things. It's like the difference between Metropolis during the day and Gotham City at night. Like completely two different places. Grace Gordon says, "Are you okay with little people fighting kids?" I think it's probably fine as long as the fair matchup and the little people health is fine. No, I think that's problematic. The the little people are adults, so they are they can make up their minds on stuff like that. Kids aren't in a position to make those sort of decisions for themselves, so I wouldn't be okay with that. Like even if they are like comparatively the same in strength, they're not the same cognitively. And a kid who's like 8 years old fighting a 25-year-old man who's of the same size are not the same mentally. So no, I wouldn't think that would be cool. And even if the little person is fine with that, it would still be exploitative because people aren't looking at this as a genuine fight. They're looking at it as a sort of a what do you call it? Like a freak show, basically. Moment, for instance, you're allowed to own land too now here. Yeah, I was just talking about that earlier. I don't know if you were in the chat, but I was saying like when I was talking about rural land with Bat S Crazy, um, he was saying that people should buy up more rural land, and I was saying, well, that's not feasible for everyone. And I was like, even overseas, I was like, well, I was saying how, it's crazy here in America, foreign investors are allowed to buy up like our agricultural land and stuff like that, whereas you can't even buy residential nor agricultural property overseas. And I was saying like even in Thailand and the Philippines you can't. But I was like, and I said, and I mentioned in passing that in Thailand they did just change the law there that you can now buy land there. But did that just happen within the past year? But for the most part, most countries don't allow that. And and I was like, but if I did, it would be in the Philippines where I already have like a connection. He says, Isan, yes, that's Northeast. Can confirm, have to go there every 90 days for visa runs to Laos. Isan is really amazing, though, if you stay away from tourists. Yeah, but that's everywhere in Thailand. Everywhere in Thailand is full of tourists, so it's like almost unavoidable. But I mean, if you really want to stay away from tourists, like, you gotta stay away from Bangkok and Pattaya and Phuket. One of the friends says, shout out to Laos, man. It's, so beautiful. People and the culture, even the hill tribes, much love to necklaces. Are they the same people? The Hmong people, but most of them live in Southeast Asia within like Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand. Greg's Corner says, I feel like the schools keep getting more violent though. You see these little kids getting in brawls over silly stuff at 12 years old now. Um, I think there's more disrespect towards adults nowadays. That's one thing I do see. I don't think they had the same amount of respect for older people that they do now. Like I said, most of these trolls that come online, these are kids. Like at their age, I wouldn't dare to be like sitting there trying to go at grown men like that. the way they do, like the way they feel comfortable doing nowadays. Only for instance, speaking on war, not trying to change the subject, but did you see Putin and King Jong making an alliance? Yeah, I did a. No, I'm sorry, that was on my Facebook. I made, I shared a meme of them. It was like a Muay Thai meme, and it was saying when you and your friend are on your way to like the train at Muay Thai, something like that, and it was like Kim Jong Un and Putin together. It was kind of funny because apparently they signed some sort of treaty that Russia will have North Korea's back if they're ever attacked. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Only for instance, kids don't go outside no more. They on games and phones like zombies, no exercise and no real social life. True. Plus, even when they do go outside, like parents are shamed now if they let their kids just go off and do their own thing. Like they will be shamed by others for being negligent parents to just let their kids go off and hang out and do whatever if it's beyond the confines of their house, which is crazy because like I said, when we were that young, we were all over the place. So I guess we were more feral than millennials and Gen Z. At least the later millennials. The early millennials were just like Gen X, like they could pretty much do whatever. Moonly Furnace says, "Can you say yeah?" Shout out to Jaden, um, Moonlit Fern's daughter. Said 22 and 8 months pregnant. Okay, that's what's up. So yeah, shout out to Jaden, Moonlit Fern's daughter. And Matinero M Song says hello. What's up? Julio Ramirez says, hey, how many subs you have? The last time I checked, it was 1,267, I believe. But I haven't checked since then. That was before the live stream. Oh, no problem at all, Moonlit Fern. Um, Shout out to you. Now you're a grandfather. I'm still working on having a kid, and that's a different topic. Greg's Corner says, I remember when I was a kid, I took a 1 month trip to Ireland with my dad and brother. We left early after watching a car blow up. We never traveled anywhere with a guide for the entirety of my childhood. I'm guessing that was during the big war between um, what do they call themselves? IRA, right? Um, yeah, but and that's still sort of, and I think that's still sort of going on right now, right? In like Northern Ireland. Only for instance, you could have went to Trat and went to Ko Chang, which is Elephant Island. Yeah, it was so it was a bunch of islands. Like I said, we it just happened we got there too late. That was probably my fault because I would get up late and my wife's like, "Come on, let's go, let's go." She is such a travel Nazi, I swear. She's the sweetest girl, but when we're on vacation, she's a travel Nazi. Like, I'm sorry, like she wants us up by like 5 a.m. Like I get up there early to train, but when I'm like on vacation, I just want to sleep in. She wants us up like around 5 a.m. so we can get everywhere. And we got there early. I mean, we got there late because between Bangkok to Pattaya, I think that's what a 3 hour drive. I think. So by the time we got there, then we got to the docks. The boat had just left, and she's like, "Damn, we can't go to Monkey Island or any of the other islands." And there was a bunch of Chinese tourists out there too. So that's when we switched modes and ended up going to the Thai gem instead. But yeah, we definitely want to when we go back, we do want to hit like an elephant sanctuary. Like, well, I don't want to go anywhere where they mistreat the animals. So she's only interested in going if it's like an elephant sanctuary, like the same like we did in in Bali when we found this elephant sanctuary in Ubud, Bali. And then there's so many cool places in Ubud in Bali. Like you have the monk the you have the little uh, monkey forest or whatever. You have the elephant sanctuary. You have the little coffee plantation. You got the big Bali swing that everyone takes a picture of. This was a bunch of stuff in Ubud. That's where we spend, I think, the bulk of our time in Bali. But we went to other places too, and we did get to go to an elephant sanctuary and see monkeys, which we didn't. We missed doing in Thailand. We did go to the safari, to the little safari place in Bangkok though. So that was fun. CD Johnson says, "Up, you watching any of the fights tonight?" No. I wasn't even aware of most of them. And usually my cousin puts me on game with most of these fights. He didn't even mention it to me. Only for instance, yeah, we got bats and monkeys because full on ruckus. Greg Swin says, "Don't buy land, gamble. Remember, 99% of gamblers quit before they win big. I wish I could still gamble, but when I was 18, I was banned from the casino for stealing leftovers off the restaurant tables." Um, well, gambling is notoriously unreliable as a source of income unless you own the casino. Um, that's the only way you're guaranteed to profit is either you're running the casino or you're a cheater. That's the only way. Um, the few times I've been to casinos, I haven't gambled. I was more interested in like the food, to be honest, because there's a lot of cool restaurants like Bobby, what's it like Bobby Flay's Burgers and stuff like that. Uh, but yeah, land if you can afford it is a worthwhile investment actually. But I mean, because nothing is going to beat tangibles, land, precious metals. I mean, stock is good too, but as long as you know what you're doing. And like I was saying earlier, I'm not sure if you were in the chat, but someone was asking precious metals or crypto, and I was like, I would never recommend crypto. Crypto is just a pyramid scheme. But I was saying precious metals over crypto because it's tangible and you can use it to your buttress your investment portfolio. But the the bulk of your investment portfolio should probably be in stocks, whether that's like in simple index funds or just blue chip companies. And I was like one of the best things to imitate if you're a beginner would be like looking at Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway portfolio that he makes public and you can check out, online for free because he mostly only invests in blue chip companies. So we know that blue chip companies are reliable in the long term, which is how you want to look at investing is in the long term, unless you're someone who has money to try to do day trading and you have the skills to do day trading because you shouldn't day trade if you don't actually know what you're doing. At that point, then you are basically just gambling if you're trying to day trade but you don't actually know what you're doing. Moonlit, for instance, the Thai hillside tribes can't remove the necklaces their neck can break. Yeah, I was saying so the hillside tribes. I was wondering if they were the same in Thailand as the ones in Laos. That's what I was wondering. Moonlit, for instance, now we ain't worried about Russia nor North Korea. We're too ready for them. I would be ready. I would be worried about Russia. Russia's still a formidable opponent. They have almost as much as nukes as we do, and that's even after the fall of the Soviet Union, where a lot of them got lost on the black market, and made its way into the hands of some, you know, Middle Eastern and Central Asian countries, which are still kind of under the sway of Russia, like Uzbekistan and um, Kazakhstan and all those other places. Only for instance, and I'm Army, I'm speaking truth, MOS artillery. Yeah, I mean, I know. I'm just saying, never underestimate your opponent, even if you think they're stupid. Stupid people can be unpredictable, which can make them dangerous. So, Only for instance, thank you for shouting out my baby girl. Big love, man. No, no problem at all. No problem. I mean, you've been riding this out since I started this, so I know you know I know it's genuine with you, so it's all good. Cedric says I'm technically Gen Y by most standards, but I relate to Gen X all the way. Me and all my friends. Most people forget that you guys were originally called Gen Y before they renamed you Millennials. Same thing with Gen X. Before we were called Gen X, they just called us the Lost Generation. Um, Even though there's literally another generation called the Lost Generation, but no need to go into all those specifics. But yeah, before we were called Gen X, we were called the Lost Generation. And millennials, before y'all were called millennials, y'all were called Gen Y. Now, depending on where you live, I mean, when you were born, if you're like one of the early millennials, you probably do relate more to Gen X because um, there's a hybrid population between Gen X and Gen Y or millennials called Zennials. Zennials are everyone that was born between 1977 and 1983. So I fall into that category too, being from 1977. Um, I'm both a Gen X and a Zennial. And if you were born before 83 or before, then you would be both a millennial and a Zennial. I think Zennials have more in common with each other than they have with either the larger generations, Gen X or millennial. And they're also called the Star Wars generation because that was the time of the original trilogy of Star Wars was from 1977 to 1983. Cedric says, yeah, it is the IRA, and there's still stuff going on in Northern Ireland. Not as much, but give it time. Humanity is something else. Yeah, like I say, I'm aware that I thought that there was still stuff popping off, but it's just not on the levels that we saw back in like the 80s and 90s. But yeah, it could still be dangerous. All the people I've had from the British Isles, I've had people from Ireland, Scotland, England, but I haven't had anyone from Wales, and I haven't had anyone from Northern Ireland yet, as far as I can recollect. Greg's Corner says, when I was a tween, I had a fake ID and I would look in the newspaper for odd jobs and just steal whatever I could, whether it be supplies I was given or stuff from their house. I wasn't caught once. So you were a bit of a hellion. When we wanted to get fake IDs, it wasn't for jobs. We were just trying to get into the clubs at a young age. I remember when I was living in DC at the time, or well, in the DC suburbs rather, in Montgomery County. There was a place in this area called Langley Park where there was a we all knew there was a store in Langley Park that gave out fake IDs to teenagers, and I remember my friend and I kept saying we were going to get one, but we never did. I did end up going to a club when I was 17, but that was literally the night before my 18th birthday, and I remember the security guard was even about to not let me in, and he was like, "Well, you're not 18." I was like, "Well, sir, technically I turned 18 at midnight, so can you do me a favor?" He looked at me and was just like, "All right, go ahead, go ahead." So, Moonlit World, Moonlit Friends say Safari World, Bangkok. I got so many videos. Yeah. Was that the place where they said the best toilet? We have the best toilet in the world or something like that. And my wife was laughing, and she actually like took pictures and posted it on Facebook and said, "Look, guys, we went to the place that claims they have the best toilets in the world." I think that was Safari World. Only for instance, I want to show you me and the wifey feeding tigers, chimps, and giraffes. Yeah, we didn't do that. What did happen though, we when we were out there, these traditional Siamese dancers came out, and we were taking pictures, and they photo bombed our selfies. So that was kind of cool. Only for instance, buy gold, not crypto. Yeah, absolutely. Build your portfolio and invest in simple things like $10 in Netflix or whatever. Cedric says, if you know nothing about stocks, start with index mutual funds like S&P 500 is a great place to start learning. That's literally what I said an hour ago too. If if you go back to this after I upload this video, you'll literally hear me saying that. Like for beginning investors, I was saying they should start off with index funds, and I said they should start off with something with one of the big indexes, like either the S&P 500 or the Nasdaq. And I say that they want to get into like single stocks, they should look at blue chip companies that's been around for a long time. And I said the best way to do that without any like prior knowledge might be to shadow what Warren Buffett did with his Berkshire Hathaway portfolio. Like he only follows like the blue chip companies more or less. And I said that would be pretty safe. Greg Swan said, I knew someone who made a lot of money off Enron before that blew up. He might have been doing some insider trading. He might have knew what was going to happen. Like, oh, insider trading Nancy Pelosi, but I don't want to get off on a tangent. Cedric says, yeah, I'm right on the edge, quote unquote. Only firms that start with gold and precious metals, but buy low and sell high. So, like I said, with precious metals, like that shouldn't be the bulk of your investment portfolio. That should be like that should you should use that to cushion your investment portfolio. The way I look at it, I could be wrong, but I think the bulk of your investment portfolio should be in like stocks and mutual funds, like the big index funds and blue chip stocks, blue chip company stocks, and you want to buttress that with precious metals, something tangible that you can trade and actually have on you for like emergencies, especially gold coins. I would like if we're going to talk about precious metals, I would I would emphasize coins over bars. Coins are easily more exchangeable than bars, so and people know their worth, and you can use them to get out of different situations. Like if you're looking at it from a operational securities sort of view. You might want to have like one or two coins on you if you travel to like dangerous places in case you need to bribe someone or get out of the country or whatever you might need to do. You might want to keep a few silver or gold coins on you. Buy from reputable dealers, but if you are going to buy precious metals, I would emphasize getting the coins over bars. And only for instance down sounds like Peaky Blinders. I have not watched that yet, by the way. I might have to get into that. Only for instance, oh, I got many friends from Wales and Cornwall. Gamer friends. I'll have them pull up. Only for instance, LOL McLovin ID. He said, Only for instance, no, Safari World got Cambodian toilets. Oh, so you mean just the drop down? Wait, so what? All right. So now I can't remember what place I was at, but there was this one place, and they were saying they had the best, and there was an advertisement above the bathroom saying that they were rated as having the best toilets in the world. And I was looking at my wife, we were like, and we both was like, what can make something be rated the best toilets in the world? And when we went in there, I mean, it was cool, but it was nothing about it that made me think, hey, this place is so good, I would like live in this bathroom. Like it was, I can't remember if it was Safari World or somewhere else, but I could have sworn it was Safari World. Greg Scorn said I always wanted to own a tiger as a kid because Mike Tyson had them. And I saw a man who owned one in New York who got eaten, and I wanted it even more. That's weird. Well, I know like LL Cool J had a Black Panther. He even had a album said "Walking with a Black Panther." You know, and, Michael Jackson had all sorts of animals, like his chimp Bubbles, but he also had like um, a few wild cats and stuff like that. Who else had? Someone else had one too. I can't remember, but yeah, that was like a thing. That was sort of like a flex in like the 80s, early 90s. Cedric says, Greg, I have a friend that trained tigers at out of Africa in Arizona. It was a sanctuary, so they didn't force animals. They just played games with them and made a show of it. Yeah, because usually the ones that they allow you to like sit there and pet them or feed them, those usually are the ones they have a lot of they've been like hit with a lot of tranquilizers to make them play complacent, so they won't attack people. Grace Corner says, I hear Horseman is a solid investment. The guy from Star Trek was fighting for his share in his divorce. I haven't heard of that. I I mean, I guess when you talk about horsemen, I guess you're talking about the horsemen of champion racehorses. I'm guessing that's what you mean because I don't think just any horsemen. I'm thinking that that's specifically like the horsemen of champion racehorses because they use that to breed um, new foals for the purposes of becoming racehorses as well. Well, the firm says I'm a gemologist. Trust me, gold is a real investment. I sold my necklace for 3,000 yesterday, for 300 US dollars yesterday to pay hospital bills. Yeah, no, I wasn't doubting you at all. I was saying, well, two things I was saying was that people should use precious metals to buttress their stock portfolio, and I was saying when people do buy precious metals, they should probably get the bar. I mean, excuse me, get the coins over the bars because coins are more easily more easy to exchange than bars are, and they weigh less. Moving for instance, a real talk. Best toilet I ever seen was Tokyo. Really? See, my friend, he was talking about how good the Tokyo toilets was. When I was out there, I just used like, I just did a number one, so I didn't have to worry about all the buttons and all that sort of stuff. And he was like, he liked the. I don't, personally, I don't want water shooting up into my posterior. Like I prefer like the hose, like in the Philippines and Indonesia and other places, they use the hose instead of the bidet where it just shoots out from the bottom. I don't like that. That feels effeminate with the bidet shooting up that way. I'd rather use the hose um, that comes attached with the toilets, like in the Philippines and places like that. And for the places in the Philippines, if they don't have a hose, then a lot of them will just use the water bucket. But that's why Asian women have the cleanest hoo-has in the world. Kenwood 709 says, "Would you rather get gold certificates or actual gold? Actual gold." So I asked my father this a long time ago, but I don't trust his judgment on anything anyway. But that's neither here nor there. But when I was asking him, he was like, "Just get the gold certificate. You don't need the actual gold." But I disagree. The whole point of having something tangible like gold coins, like I said, the coins are better than bars. The whole point of having tangible gold is in case of emergencies. Like, have if you're just like if you're just gonna get a certificate, you might as well just buy gold stock. There's no point in buying a gold certificate because you can't take like the gold certificate down to the pawn shop and say, all right, here, I want cash for that. Or maybe you can, I'm not sure, but you can definitely take tangible gold or tangible silver or tangible platinum down to a um, an exchange or pawn shop or wherever and exchange it for money right then and there. Also, like I said, in case you are, I don't know, if you find yourself doing something in the military or or the intelligence agency, or you're just a traveler who likes traveling to risky places, or it may not even be a risky place, but but we just know that, law enforcement is very corrupt in other parts of the world. You might need something if you don't have like say cash on you at the time. You should probably always have cash on you as well, American cash, like $100 American cash, because $100 American cash can get you out of almost any jam in any part of the world. But if you don't have that, having like a gold or silver coin can get you out of a lot of trouble too. Like having that stitched into like your hat or your book bag or the inside of your pants or something, like it might be the difference between your freedom and you being locked up abroad in some janky um cell to rot. So it's not just precious metals as far as having it as an investment. If you just want it just as an investment and nothing more, then yeah, just buy gold stock, but don't get certificates. Forget that. Get If you just want an investment, yeah, just get gold stock. But if you want it for other reasons where you might actually need to exchange it in case of emergencies, then you want something tangible on you. You want tangible precious metals on you, gold, silver, and platinum, stuff like that, because you can exchange it, and everyone knows the value of gold anywhere in the world. So if I'm dealing with like some corrupt border patrol or some corrupt cop in Mexico or somewhere in a part of the Philippines where there's like rebels, and I can say, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get cause you guys any trouble. How, because I caused you guys this trouble here, please take this and let's, you know, I apologize for my mistakes. Can we call it even? You let me go, and hopefully you can appreciate this gift, something like that. Because you never want to make it obvious that you're bribing them, but of course you're bribing them. But people don't want to feel that you're bribing them. You got to be like apologetic about it. Like, I'm sorry, this was my mistake. Here, please take this as a gift. Can't really do that with like a certificate. No one wants an IOU. Like having an actual $100 bill or actual gold coin, like a U.S. American Eagle coin, which is usually like um, a quarter ounce of gold, can do wonders. Only for instance, Panthers are beautiful. Yeah. Sergey says glass bathrooms in Sulphur Springs, Texas. Check them out. It's not what you think. I mean, that doesn't sound bad. I just don't like I said. The only thing I don't like are the bidets with the water shooting up your hole, up your cornhole. Other than that, I'm all good. Moonlit Furnace is actual golds. Exactly. Kenwa says, don't the gold dealers screw you when they say they have to smelt it and everything? No, genuine, legit gold dealers are not going to try to rip you off. They're not, because they're risk. The reason why they aren't is because one, they have to be licensed. That's number one, and two, they're not going to risk their business. Just legit dealers um, aren't going to risk their reputation and their business by ripping you off. So that's yeah. So I wouldn't worry about that. If you go to legitimate gem dealers, um, legitimate cash exchanges and pawn shops, they're not going to risk their business, especially since most of them are licensed. They're not going to risk that by trying to rip you off. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Cedric says I always told was always told to trust anyone that has to tell you not to. Excuse me. I was always told not to trust anyone that has to tell you to trust them. I understand that. No, what I'm saying is you're not going by that. You're going by their certification. These people who deal in precious metals and stuff like that, these are people who are licensed, right? That's the difference. These are people who are licensed that deal in this sort of things. If if these people can't show you their licenses for the stuff that they do, I wouldn't trust them. So it's not about uh, trusting people just because they say, "Hey, trust me." It's no, they're actually licensed and certified to do what they do. So only first says, "Yeah, real talk. Tourists don't know, so it's animal abuse." Yeah, a lot of them. Everyone wants to take the pictures. Like I said, there was a big thing on like Tinder and OkCupid like 8 years ago where everyone had like a profile with them sitting there next to like a, a a docile tiger, especially for the men. All the men wanted a picture on their profile of them like hugging like some docile tiger, and I was like, yeah, that's just because they're trunked up, like they're tranked up, like they put so many tranquilizers that that tiger probably doesn't even know where it's at. Like that's to me animal cruelty. So I was never interested in any of those places that let you take those sort of pictures because you know those animals are like high out their mind. Greg's corner says there used to be this gold dealer called Hood Old Times who's had low key racist commercials back in the day saying to bring your gold and to get away from the animals in the hood. That's stupid. I can't speak for that man. What I'm saying is any legit gem dealers and places for currency exchange and stuff like that, they're gonna be licensed people, and those are the people you want to deal with them, and the ones that you can find online that they have a very good reputation within their community. Well, if, for instance, Tokyo was fired, no water spray. We don't need butt spraying. I'm saying, I'm saying in Japan you can listen to music and heat the seat. Yeah, that was the other thing. I don't know if you watched that video, but that was what my other friend was saying as well. That he liked the heated seats, and I told him I don't like heated seats because I don't like them in cars either. Like whenever I'm driving, like every time I'm driving with a woman during the winter. Now I don't mean to just say women, but it's always like women in the winter, they be like, "Hey, do you want your seat heated?" I'm like, "No, I don't need toasty buns. I'm good, thank you." I mean, but to each his own. But I don't like toasty buns. I just that's not my thing. Molly Fern said that's why Asian women taste amazing. Is it okay? Is it okay? I gotta shut up. LOL. I love y'all. Like and sub and share. Community is love and positive vibes here. Notice I didn't disagree. Peppermount Aries says exactly. Only Fern says love pepper no diddy. Oh no. Greg's Corner says my aunt's gold got stolen by my cousin and we went out and bought cigarettes and handed them out at the elementary school because we thought it was funny. Real cigarettes? We used to have the candy cigarettes back in the day. Like it was like gum, but if you actually blew on a cigarette, it actually made like some little candy smoke. And they still sell those, by the way. You can still get these at some of these more lower tier convenience stores and in the city, and maybe some places in the you know in the suburbs too. But it's harder to find them. But they still make them like the candy cigarettes. But Greg, you guys were like kind of bad, man. Cedric says Andrew Bustamante, former CIA, said the same thing about traveling third world countries and U.S. dollars. Yeah, if you're traveling outside of the Western world, you should always have some emergency cash on you. Like just have a just have $100 bill. $100 bill can get you out of most jams because everyone can recognize the worth of $100. You might need it just to bribe someone and say, "Hey, can I stay? Someone's looking for me. Can I stay here?" Or um, you know, you might need it just to stay overnight at some hotel or like some makeshift sort of homestay or something like that. Someone say, "Oh, $100? Yeah, I'll take that." Or you might need a meal. Like you were somewhere and you don't you lost your cards, or someone stole your wallet, but you kept an emergency cash in a separate part of on your body or somewhere, like say tucked into like your cap or tucked inside a pouch within your belt or whatever, and say, "Hey, take this cash." Or instead of cash, maybe you have like a gold coin, like, and you actually, I don't know, Mullen Fern can tell me whether he agree or disagree or not, but I think you probably would get more out of having a quarter ounce gold than the full, like a full ounce of gold. I think a quarter ounce is more tradable than a whole ounce. Um, and you can buy more of the quarter ounce in bulk and keep like one or two coins on you in case of who knows, like you might be going through customs and something happened, and you can just be like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on, maybe I made a mistake, but please take this, you know to you know just to show my apologies, that I respect you guys policies and stuff, and I just made a mistake. Maybe you can just let me slide on this one. Please take this as a gift to acknowledge my mistake or whatever." Just be humble about it. Don't make it like you're obviously bribing them. um, because the last thing of someone who's taken a bribe wants is for you to make it clear that you're bribing them. I, I mean, I don't know why, but I guess it's just a matter of psychology. People don't want to feel like they're grifting you, even if they are. But in any case, an emergency cash, which you should also have in your bug out bag, by the way. I'm in another house, so I can't show you my bug out bag, but keep a little emergency cash in your bug out bag. Like when I showed my bug out bag, I didn't have a cash in it, but what I did show you, I showed you my disposable I had disposable debit cards that I could use to instantly access cash. If I'm like, say, if I'm bugging out in an urban environment, I could use those cards to instantly access some cash. But I will also keep like, if I'm like, depending on where I am, I might have some sort of emergency cash in that bag as well, like either $100, a couple of $100. Some say 100, some say like two or 300, whatever. Just at least have 100 on you. And like I said, if you can have some sort of precious metals, is even better. Because in the financial crisis, you know, people still recognize the value of gold. Um, Dakota Prepper says the cool thing is you're not the only stream I've scrolled to that's talking about having objects that are of actual wealth instead of paper. Yeah, I mean, well, looking at your very name, Dakota Prepper, I'm guessing you are in that community of people who are like, survivalists, bushcraft, preppers, backpackers, stuff like that. And most of them will say you should have some sort of emergency cash on you, but not just paper. Because, like I said, gold is recognized everywhere pretty much. silver as well. So, if you can have both, but, if you can't have both, then at least have one or the other. And like I said, coins over bars, because coins are more tradable than bars. And like I said, it might be the difference between your freedom or, being locked up somewhere in some janky ass country. Greg said that's one of the most regrettable, devious things I did as a dumb kid, but I was a 12-year-old kid. I mean, yeah, we've all done some dumb stuff, definitely, but that is kind of bad though, man. I hope at least I hope you've learned from that. Um, so K Dot says, "Man, don't you like a clean, clean booty?" First of all, no Diddy, and two, yes, I actually I don't know how much you caught of this conversation, but I literally said that living in the Philippines and places like that, I do like the bidet hoses. I just don't like the bidet shooting out the bowl. I don't like it shooting up into your cornhole. I prefer the bidet hoses um, that come with the toilets that you see in most of Southeast Asia and most parts of Southeast Asia, like Thailand, Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia. They have a bidet hose that you can use. I like that because you can control it. Whereas the bidet spray shooting out of the toilet bowl, I find a little disconcerting. And like I said, if they don't have a bidet hose, most places in Southeast Asia they use a water bucket. It has different names in different parts of Southeast Asia, but in the Philippines they call it a tabo. Um, but the tabo is basically a Japanese water bucket, and they will use that to rinse themselves off after using a bathroom, and they also use it when they shower because some of the places don't have, like in the rural parts of the Philippines and other rural parts of Southeast Asia, they don't have running water, so they'll just take water and wash themselves that way with the water bucket. And like I said, it's called a tabo. So I definitely believe in the clean but K dots. And like I said, that's also why Asians have the cleanest hoo-has in the world because they wash themselves after every time they use the bathroom. My friend says, yeah, they feed them and drug them up. Yeah, it's sad. We're talking about animals, by the way, guys. Uh, which soup says, if you were a bowl of soup, which kind of soup would you be and why? You're from that handle, I can tell you take soup pretty seriously. I hate to disappoint you, but I'm not as into soup as you are. Personally, I do not want to be a kind of soup. I can tell you what kind of soup I would prefer to eat if that sounds better for you, but I would not prefer to be a soup. I don't want to be something that's eaten. Um, but as far as the type of soup that I would like to eat, I like hot and sour soup that you might find in like Chinese and other East Asian dishes, hot and sour soup or miso soup. Just like in Japan, I like those. Um, and there's a couple of soups that they eat in the Philippines that I like that my wife makes. Um, I forgot the names of it. I wish she could. I wish she was moderating right now because she could tell you the type of soup that she made for me that I like. That has like it has like chicken and it has these green leaves in it, and I can't remember what it's called, but that was pretty tasty. Only Fern says I got my 1 year visa for studying gemology. Oh, I didn't know that. When you were talking about 1 year visa, for some reason I'm thinking you're taking. You would think I was thinking of Muay Thai for some reason. So that's what you got the student visa for. Okay. Pepper Mount Airy says them heated seats seem come in handy in the winter. I mean, yeah, they do, but I mean, I grew up in the Midwest, so I don't really mind the cold, and I don't like it's just a personal thing. It's just personally, I don't like I just don't like toasty buns. Like I'll just wear a heavy jacket, or I'll have on my little thermals on under my pants, and that'll keep me plenty warm. But I don't like something heating up my butt. That just doesn't feel comfortable. But that's a personal thing. Greg's going to say I would be a rock soup. I don't even know what rock soup is. Moonlit Furnace is certified gold trader. Okay. Um, Pepper Meyer says you can turn it off after a while. You don't have to leave the heated seats on, but I do. So yeah, you're just someone who likes toasted, but I don't like toasted buns unless it's for a sandwich. And I mean an actual sandwich. I'm not talking like any Diddy type stuff. Moonlit Fern says, "Yo, candy cigarettes. Shout out to the '80s. No, they still have those. I saw them on like they still make them because they. I don't know if you ever watched the YouTube channel Food Theory. It was by Matt Pat. He had game theory, film theory, food theory, and then this last one was style theory. He actually quit YouTube, and someone else is running his channels for him. But he's like one of the most successful people on YouTube up there with people like Mr. Beast and some other folks. Like I think Game Theory had like at least about 13 million subs. Film Theory had about 10, 11 subs. Food Theory had about 8 million subs. Style Theory, which was only out for a year, but had like 5 or 6 million subs. And he was doing this one of the Food Theory episodes. They were showing the candy cigarettes, and I was like, "Damn, they still make those? I haven't seen them in a long time." Like I said, it's bubble gum, but you could actually blow on it at least once, and it would shoot out a little puff of candy cigarette smoke. So I remember buying those, and all of us, like when we bought them, we were acting like we were puffing on real cigarettes, like it was funny. Pepper Meyer says you're giving out some good information. Thank you for that. Oh, you're welcome. If anything I say is useful, I'm glad. Greg's Corner says my friend doesn't like heated seats. He says they seem a little fruity, like sitting in another man's warmth. I told him it's not that deep, but he won't have it. Yeah, I'm kind of the same. Like I said, it just doesn't feel masculine to me to have my butt heated up. I'm sorry. It's yeah, I don't like it. Moonlit Fern says can confirm if not played it. Yeah, that would be the worst thing to be in a dire situation and you hand over some gold and they find out it's gold plated. Oh man, your ass is grass. Don't do that. That would be worse than committing the actual crime. Cedric says I can't do the heated seat. Swamp ass in the middle of the winter is no good. Exactly. I don't want warm butt. Even if it's winter, I'll chalk it up to the gods that my butt is cold. But like I said, if I'm really that cold on my bottom half, I'm just gonna wear thermals anyway. Like we wore thermals in the army. I'll just wear thermals. Or like we used to do in the '90s, we used to wear basketball shorts under our pants. Moonlit Fern says we slide $20 US dollars when they pull you over. Yeah, that's smart. Like I said, having like maybe a couple of 20s or at least 100 as emergency cash is always useful overseas because cops are more flexible in that way. Only friend says bug out bag is a must. He's speaking truth. Yep. So someone was asking me yesterday, Moonlit Friend. I think it was yesterday. Uh, he was saying that he watched part of my bug out bag video, but he was wondering what would be the purpose of it outside of like some impending doom. And I was saying you don't need a bug out bag for impending doom. I was telling him that FEMA actually recommends that every household have bug out bags because in lots of parts of the country, not to mention the world overall, there's going to be probably like something that can cause you to have the bug out scenario, which is like, or, SHTF scenario, which is the two most common reasons are either flooding or wildfires. And because of climate change, flooding and wildfires happen way more often. I mean, look, we were just making fun of that in New York 2 years ago when the wildfires happened in Canada, but we could smell it all the way in Baltimore. Like we smelled the wildfire from Canada all the way in Baltimore, and people in DC said they could smell it too. We could actually smell it. And I mean, even somewhat in Baltimore, but definitely like if you were in Philly, New York, you saw the sky turn orange with a wildfire that happened in Hawaii. I mentioned this yesterday as well. The state of Hawaii, the dumbass elected officials told those people to stay in their homes, and most of those people were the ones who were the casualties. Everyone who didn't listen to the Hawaii authorities and bugged out when those fires happened, they made it to safety. Well, we know along the Mississippi River deltas, it floods every year. So you need to be able to get the hell out of Dodge and quickly. That's what bug out bags prepare you for. It doesn't have to be like some doomsday prepper scenario like you were watching on Nat Geo back in the day where people worried about the Earth's magnetic poles flipping or a mega solar flare from the sun hitting the Earth or dumb stuff like that. It's gonna be just regular things that happen, like flooding, wildfires, tornadoes. All of these weather conditions have been increased because of climate change. So it would behoove people to have bug out bags, and not just only bug out bags, but also have extra food provisions too, and weapons. So yeah, Grace Corner said there's no greater bribing tool than getting freaky in the backseat of a cop car. Yeah, but if you're a dude, how does that work out for you? I'm sorry, as a man, I'm keeping my butthole virginal. I am not willing to trade that for my freedom. We're just gonna have to fight. What I will do, I will give you cash or I will give you metal, precious metals. If I have jewelry on me, you can have that. If I have some sort of clothing they want, fine. But that sort of bribing tool is not going to work for most straight men. So, and I'm not willing to exchange my wife or children for that either. And Melissa Fern says she better be thick. Oh man. Kenwood 709 says I left and came back and you're still on the same topic. Well, yeah. Only Fern says he's speaking facts. Money is toilet paper. SHTF situation. You want medicine, alcohol, smokes, and food. Greg's Corner says my only problem with the gold thing is if you have any sense, it doesn't hold any value to you other than the value it has to others. Just like money, just more universal. I mean, I don't disagree, but that's basically currency in a nutshell is extrinsic value. Mo- some people have this mistaken belief that precious metals have an intrinsic value that cash doesn't. No, precious metals just like banknotes have only extrinsic value. Like, and that's nothing wrong with that. What the reason why us and others are saying the gold thing is because of its very extrinsic value is universally known, as is the American dollar. Most of the economy is based on the US dollar standard, which is why in as an for emergency cash, American American bills can be taken most anywhere. But like I said, depending on where you are, especially if you're in a country that is a foreign adversary of the US, coins might be a better deal because gold doesn't have a nation. I think the Bank of Bravos will take gold from anywhere. Cedric says, "Can the chat causes a feedback loop? Plus, there's usually plenty to say on any subject." True. This, yeah. Moment Furnace says, "Gold and silver helps, but if you don't know how to take care of your family, know how to clean and game like fish and squirrels and rabbit and exercise." Yeah. So, and this was what I've said this 100 times, and I'll say it 100 times more. The best thing you can do to be an excellent prepper, an excellent survivalist, an excellent bushcrafter, um, or um, traveler, stay fit, stay physically fit. It doesn't. What's the point in being one of these? Like, how many people have watched Doomsday Preppers on Nat Geo back in the day, or now all of the episodes are on YouTube? If you never saw it on Nat Geo, but how many of those Doomsday Preppers were very overweight old men and women? And it's like it didn't matter how many guns they had or how much they prepped their house. If they're not physically fit in a dire situation, all of that's for naught. So that is your first priority for survivalism, prepping, bushcrafting, prepping, backpacking, whatever. Stay in shape. Then after that, you need to, have weapons, you need to have food. Um, if you want to if you want to prep your house to bug in instead of bugging out, you need to have plenty of food and provisions set up. Make your house turn your house into like a sort of a fortress. But again, that depends on the situation. It's probably going to be most situations you might want to bug in than bug out. But if we're talking about like conditions when it's like weather, like I said, flooding, wildfires, tornadoes, then you're probably going to bug out. And like I said, need to be physically fit, need to have a bug out bag that you can carry. So it's no more than 10% of your body weight. Um, and if you have those bushcraft skills that you can fish, you can hunt, you can set up you can set up snare wire and stuff like that around a perimeter where you sleep and know how to tie up a makeshift tent and stuff like all these sorts of things. Stuff is important. Then like I said, depending on what sort of people you think you might encounter, having some sort of emergency cash or precious metals on you. Moonlit Fern says Fa. I forgot. I'm sorry. Yeah, I forgot Fa. The best said the best soup. I did forget Fa. You know what? Uh, I am going to put Fa over the other things I mentioned. Those still are my top five though. The hot and sour soup, the miso, and the Filipino soup. I just can't remember what it's called. It was two of them that she let me try that I like. I can't remember them. One is actually named after the leaf that's put in it, and I forgot the other one. I wish she was moderating right now. She could remind me. Cedric says, Moonlit Fern, all of the above. Prepping is about sustainability by many means, many means. And Moonlit Fern says, Toasty buns, a pause. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I can't do that. And on the toilet, why would you want? Well, I guess it makes sense. Like, depending on what part of Japan you're in, because Japan does get really cold, especially if you're in the north, like in Hokkaido. You might want those seat warmers somewhere like that. Because yeah, Japan does get really cold. Plus, they don't make their walls as insulated as we do here. Like they're more prepared to like bundle up when it's cold and when it's summertime just to wear less clothing inside because they don't insulate their buildings aren't as well insulated as ours. Peppermount Air says I carry flushable wipes in my purse to wipe myself clean wherever I go. Wish we did have more bidets in the states. I mean, you can easily get bidets in the state, but most most houses don't come equipped with them unless you have it customized. But a lot of the um, mid, like mid to upscale places, like in the Philippines and other parts of Southeast Asia, have the bidet hose as part of the toilet system. And I do keep wet wipes too. I keep wet wipes in my bug out bag, and I keep some secondary wet wipes in my satchel. Like if I take a satchel to work, I'll usually have some wet wipes in them. I remember I showed this to my boss once, and I was like, because I was showing him all my EDC, all my everyday carry items that I keep in my satchel, and I was like, "Yo, Josh, check this out." He's like, "Well," I say, "Wet wipes." He's like, "What, to wipe your ass?" I was like, "Well, yeah, you can use it for that." I was like, "But no," I was like, generally, I was like, I like wet wipes in my bag because I can use it to wipe down. I can sanitize my desk area, my desk space, you know. And I was like, just keep stuff clean, like, between eating and other people sitting in my desk space, I can keep it clean. He's like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. But when I showed it to him too, he thought just about wiping your butt. And I was saying, no, wet wipes are just generally good to have in the office because it's such, being in an enclosed office is such can be, a germy environment. Only for instance, love Cedric. Said not watching Fallout had me full nostalgic. I liked Fallout. That was good. I never played the game, but the show was good. Mulder Fern says, y'all too funny. I love y'all. Real world says heated seats in the car. Yeah, I don't do the heated seats in the car, real world. Like I say, a lot of people do, but I don't. Cedric says flushable wipes are not that flushable. I was gonna get to that. I didn't want to go there, but actually, those wet wipes can actually cause. A, I've heard people talk about people who work in I guess in like waste management say that um, wet wipes actually can cause sewage systems to get backed up pretty badly because they don't, even though you can flush them, they don't really degrade like toilet paper does, and can often cause huge backups within the sewage system. So that's why you'll notice also in other countries they'll tell you to not flush the toilet paper or your butt wipes. They will say throw it in the trash. Like if you're staying at a hotel or a homestay or Airbnb, they will tell you just put the wipes and even the toilet paper in a trash can, and they will just collect it every day because they don't want you flushing it down the toilet and causing a backup in their plumbing because they know that a lot of people flush both toilet paper and wet wipes, and it can cause like a huge clot within the plumbing that will back everything up, and that can become very costly. In one city, I forgot which city, there was such a huge clog caused by like wet wipes and other stuff that people were flushing down the toilet that it cost millions of dollars to get that to have that removed. So flushable wipes aren't really environmental sound, even if they call them flushable. Only person said, "Bro, you did not wear shorts in your BDUs." No, 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 not in my BDUs. No, I was saying when I'm home in the '90s, we used to wear like basketball shorts under our jeans and stuff like that. Not in the military. In the in the military, we just wore thermals. You know, we just wore the brown thermals and all of that. I definitely didn't wear basketball shorts in my BDUs. They wouldn't have fit. If, for instance, you army, you know how hard it would feel wearing shorts with BDUs. You strong. I can't. I was I was in tanks though. They made us say cannon. Yeah, I never wore shorts in my BDUs. I just wore thermals. It because the basketball shorts wouldn't have fit in my BDUs, and the basketball shorts were worn under baggy jeans. Greg's Coin says one of those doomsday preppers from that show lost his mind preparing and locked his family in a shelter and fed them rat poison. I don't remember that episode. The dumbest one I saw, well, there was a couple of dumb episodes, but the dumbest one I saw was when a guy went out to the range. He went to like a range out in the desert and was shooting off weapons with his guns. This dumbass put his thumb in front of the muzzle and shot a part of his thumb off and fainted on camera. I busted out laughing. I'm like, no, this idiot did, because I'm like, this has to be fake. And they was like, somebody get his kids. We don't want them to see this. I'm like, how are they not going to see this? Plus, I was like, how is he shooting? How was he even shooting a rifle with his thumb over the? I don't know how he did that, but that was a funny episode. Then there was one with this old guy teaching kids, and I'm like, dude, you're like the creepy old man teaching these people how to do like survivalist skills. So that comes off really cringe. So yeah, a lot of these doomsday preppers were just jokes, and they actually made the prepping community look bad because they used the most extreme examples of people for that show. It made the show entertaining, but like I said, it made the prepping and survivalist community look bad because they used some of the most extreme people. And it's like no one's gonna take a 65-year-old man who's like almost 400 pounds seriously talking about he's gonna protect his family and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, dude, you probably couldn't even walk a mile without passing out. It's like, come on. Pepper Meyer says, I don't plan on using that mini Cedric. I have my own bidet at home, and I don't try to publicly go when having to do number two, but it's a just in case situation because I can't walk around with remnants. Ill. That's a little too, yeah, that's a little too graphic. I I would say this, like I said, I take when I go to the office, I keep wet wipes in my satchel, but not just for the bathroom. Like I said, just to sanitize my office space as well. But even if you don't use them, it's a it's a collective effort. Like if everyone is using them, it's going to clog up the plumbing. Even if you only use one or two, if everyone's using one or two, and they're all using the same plumbing, it's going to clog it. So, Wise Up 786 is back. He said back like a toothache. What's up from Miami Liberty City? Yeah, it's been a while. Cedric says it's not you're using lights. You use one, and also, so Cedric's basically saying the same thing I'm saying. When I said it's a collective effort, he says not you using lights. You use one, and also the next 100 people using one each. They clog up whole system. It's not just a single toilet. So exactly what I said, just better. You said it in a better way. Cedric says, night guys, just a contrarian, you got a sub. Thank you, Cedric. I appreciate it, man. Let me check what time it is too, guys. Oh, it's 12:36 here on my time, so I'm about to call it uh I'm about to call it a night too within a few minutes, but I want to wrap it up because we're having a good chat. Greg's Corner says, "Did you see 50 Cent came out today?" And I never would have thought. What you mean come out? Come out in what way? Like come out the closet or? Because I'm pretty sure 50 is straight because he's made fun of people within his clique that have shown to be in the Rainbow Coalition. So I'll look on Instagram, but I'm pretty sure 50 doesn't run like that. But I could be wrong. Peppermeyer says, Cedric, I guess you better take it up with Nola, Cottonelle, and the other makers of Flushable as well as your local government representative. They making money off it, not me. Yeah, I mean, so the thing is, Pepper, like I said, it's a collective effort, and if everyone is using them, it's not like it's bad because you're using them or the next person is using them. It's everyone collectively is using them at the same time will cause a clog. Like I said, it happened in one. I can't remember the city or state, but it became such a huge clog within their sewage system that the waste the that government had to spend millions of dollars to fix their waste management system. So yeah, they do warn people not to flush those so-called flushable wipes because they don't degrade like toilet paper does. And the other thing is go ahead and use them as much as you want. Use a whole bunch of them, but stick them in the trash can. Don't stick them in the toilet. Like I said, you'll go to places overseas, and they will have signs up saying, "Please don't flush your toilet paper and wipes. Stick them in the trash, and we will collect it." So um, that's why. Plus, not everyone has a strong flushing. Like some places, the toilets flush weaker than others, so they can't handle a lot of things in the bowl at one time. So Frosty says, "Sup, bub?" I mean, sup, bub? What's up, Frosty? Staying frosty, I see. But yeah, I think a lot of you gonna call it a night right now. Who's here in the states? I'm about to as well because it's past 12:30. So it's Sunday for me, and I like to preferably get off much earlier so I can get up early in the morning. Uh, but yeah, guys, this has been a good chat. Um, like I said, nominally the topic was, what are you guys doing for the summer? Some people said they're not doing anything. Some people said they traveling. Some people said they're just going to work. And one guy said he's going to buy up some rural property. I wish I had money to do that. Um, but yeah, then we got into a whole discussion about investments and sports and everything else in between. But tomorrow there'll be like a specific topic as per usual. But I don't mind doing these random conversations, every week. And hopefully I can get Mrs. Contrarian to moderate tomorrow. But I think she's up now, but she's, doing stuff. She had a long, well, she hung out this weekend and had a long commute back home. So, a whole different subject. But I'll give it a few seconds if people were still about to post a comment or question, and then afterwards I'll wrap it up. At least I did have this coffee. This kept me up because I probably would have not made it this far if I didn't. And I need to get some water too because I'm losing my voice. If you can't tell. And again, shout out to Blade Lover for the $20 Cash App. I appreciate it. Thank you, my friend. Premier Improvement says, "Hey brother, what's up, Premier?" For you guys who are just jumping in the chat, it's about to end, but please feel free to check this out. Check this out as soon as I upload it. As soon as I upload it, it'll be instantly available for you to watch it in its entirety. And like I said, if you guys want to check out any of my previous videos, I've done previous videos on just about everything, like from politics to pop culture to the manosphere, uh, to traveling to martial arts, um, a whole bunch of stuff. BSK says you're on your way. I hope so. I hope so. Like I said, if this is just something I do as a hobby, but if this was something that I could turn into like a full time job, I could do that. Right, Wise up 786. Are you going to review the Quiet Place film? Try to remember which movie is Quiet Place. Quiet Place isn't the thing with Matt Damon and Casey Affleck, right? Um, I can't remember what film that is. Um, the only the only movie I'm looking forward to right now, to be honest, is Deadpool and Wolverine. Oh, that's something I wanted to mention. I forgot about that. So any of you who are Blade fans, and I'm not talking about the new MCU Blade that they've been trying to make for the last 4 years, and it's supposed to have Masha, Ma, why can't I say that man's name? Mahershala Ali or whatever. So the original Blade, Wesley Snipes, will be appearing in Deadpool and Wolverine. Yes. And it's not a cameo. They said he will actually have a supporting role in Deadpool and Wolverine. Apparently, this movie is going to have a bunch of people from old MCU and X-Men films. Um, and he was slated originally to make a cameo appearance, and now they say no, he's actually going to have a starring role in Deadpool and Wolverine. Wesley Snipes is back as Blade in Deadpool and Wolverine. So I'm kind of hyped up for that because you know why? Some motherfuckers always want to ice skate uphill. So yeah, um, I'm hyped for that movie. I want to see that. Bad Boys new film. I don't know if I want to see it. I heard it's good, but Bad Boys 3 was bad. I didn't like it. I've heard people say Bad Boys 4 is better. Like they said it's as good as part 2, but I don't know. Plus, this didn't Michael Bay make this one too? Kind of kind of done with Michael Bay as well. He's messed up too many of my '80s properties. I, I might watch well, you know what? I might watch Bad Boys 4 on my Fire Stick. Same way I did Bad Boys 3 because hey, Bad Boys 3 was horrible. Uh, um, if people are saying it's better than 4, you know what? I'll go to Rotten Tomatoes and see what its current score is versus Bad Boys 3. If it looked like it's getting some good ratings, I might check it out. Possum 16 says, "Do you think you eat a box turtle?" No. I used to have a box turtle as a pet when I was 13, so I definitely wouldn't eat one. Why would I want to? That's no. You know, in captivity, those things can live to be like 30 years old. So, no. That's so random and trolly to ask. But yeah, the so Quiet Place is that the one with Casey Affleck and Matt Damon, or is that a different movie? I'm trying. I know the name of the film, but I'm trying to place who stars in it. No, Quiet Place isn't the one with um um what's that's not the new western, right? With tag, what's the guy's name? The guy from Yellow from the guy from Dances with Wolves, and well, I can't remember his name. Kevin whatever. I can't say. Who I'm trying to say, guys. If is that the movie you're talking about? Possum, stop asking me about turtles. That's weird. Seriously, dude. Check out In a Violent Nature. I haven't even heard of that one. Premiere Improvements is, would you watch Irish films or programs? If it's entertaining, yeah. I've watched a lot of. I mean, there was a period where I only preferred foreign films. That was probably like a year where Hollywood was just like not making good movies, sort of like now. But anyway, um, there was an era where I preferred like foreign films. I've seen an Irish film before. I can't remember the name of it, but um, I've watched foreign films, French, Dutch, of course, Japanese, Indonesian, Chinese, Korean, Filipino, Thai, uh, Nigerian, which is they call Bollywood. I mean, they call it Nollywood, and Indian films, what they call Bollywood. Saw some Latin American films. Of course, I saw some British films. Um, there was an Irish film I watched. I can't remember what it was though. But yeah, I would be open to watching something Irish if it's something that I find either entertaining or funny. A lot of there's films here in America that are often remakes of foreign films, and often it's the foreign film that was better. Like Three Men and a Baby. I think that started off as a French film before they made it an American film here in the 80s. Or The Office with Steve Carell that made him a big star. That started off as a British comedy, right? So Miss Brown's Boys, it's an Irish comedy program, is very funny. I'll see if it's on my Fire Stick, because usually the only way I can find like stuff like that um, is either going to be on my Fire Stick by going to Cinema HD, which is like a torrent site, a BitTorrent site, or if you can check out things on Netflix by turning on your VPN and seeing what is available. Because if there's a lot of stuff available on Netflix, just not here in the U.S. If you turn on your VPN and go to another country, like there's stuff I can watch in the Philippines on my Netflix that I can't watch here. So Wise Up 76 at Sundance says the best documentaries. If you're talking about the channel Sundance, like usually I watch it for like the movies. I haven't watched any documentaries on Sundance. Premiere Improvements is Michael Collins. It's a film where Ireland took back against the British. Very good film. Huh. If it's like a medieval thing, Premiere Improvements, yeah, it's on the Fire Stick. I have them apps as well. Yeah, it's like Cinema HD and there's a few other ones. But I use Cinema HD. That's another thing. If you're traveling, guys, get a VPN. Because, like, say, like when I was in Bali in Indonesia, they don't allow Netflix, so you're gonna have to use a VPN to watch Netflix in Indonesia because they don't allow Netflix there unless they change the rules. So while my wife and I was there, we only had free VPN, like the free VPN, so we didn't have much data when with the free one, so we were just watching YouTube at nighttime when we came home. Luckily, we stayed out most of the daytime, so it's not like we were inside very much to watch much of YouTube. Like it would be like at night, right before going to bed, or like early in the morning before we left out. But just know that some places, just like I was saying, have emergency cash or precious metals whenever you go overseas. Have a VPN when you go overseas too. I should have mentioned that as well. Not so much for tactical reasons, but for entertainment purposes. You might want a VPN, or say you're in a country that wants to block certain websites, and the only way you can get out to your family and friends that you need help is through a VPN. So you might need so if you travel overseas, make sure you have a VPN. But anyway, enough. That's enough of that. Let me look at these names again so I can remember. So check out Quiet Place. Possum Stop Eating Turtles. um, Especially since Red Air Sliders are supposed to be what the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are now, are Red Air Sliders, not even Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So Miss Brown's Boys, Quiet Place, And yeah, Premier appearances when the British invaded Ireland. A guy called Michael Collins created a gang called the No, we were just see you weren't here earlier. We were literally talking about the IRA 2 hours about an hour and a half ago. We were talking about Northern Ireland IRA. Um, there's an old there's an old Harrison Ford movie here in America. Harrison Ford, the one who plays Indiana Jones and Han Solo. He did a movie based off the novel written by uh, what whatever the guy's name is. He's an overrated American writer that writes a lot of political thrillers. He did a movie about the IRA and all that sort of stuff. Um, and it starred Harrison Ford. Um, but yeah, we're familiar with it, somewhat. But anyway, I'm gonna go. It's really late here, and I'll check out some of these recommendations. I'm not gonna watch them tonight, but I can at least see if they're available on my Fire Stick. So let me just scroll back up again so I can um, put it in my working memory. So I already remember Quiet Place, but I wanted to make sure I remember Miss Brown's Boys. And again, I might check out Bad Boys 4. I'm going to check out the Rotten Tomato score first to see if it ranks higher than Bad Boys 3, which I considered a really bad one for that franchise. I'll just store it. So the way you can store stuff and work your memory, just keep make it repetitive. You can either make it repetitive, or you can or you can make it, or you can sing it. Like if you like either through rote rehearsal usually works, which is how I used to study, or if you put something to music, you can remember it. Um, or you can write it down that way too. Interesting factoid. I brought this up a million times, but I don't mind doing it again. People have always decried technology as being something that's going to destroy um, the younger generation or harm our ability to learn. And that started off with writing. Writing was like one of the biggest technological advancements of the ancient world, and Socrates would have none of it. He told his students he didn't write anything down because he thought that writing would be the ruin of would be the ruin of learning, that people won't remember anything because they'll be so used to writing things down that they won't everyone's memory will be shot. So that's why we don't know of Socrates through his own writings, but through his friends' writings and students, because he disagreed with writing. And of course, and luckily, he was wrong about writing destroying rote memory. But yeah, I don't need to write it down. I've already kept repeating it to myself, like A Quiet Place, Miss Brown's Boys, Bad Boys 4. So I didn't even have to scroll up this time. And of course, the Michael Collins. Is the movie itself called Michael Collins? That's what you didn't tell me. Um, you just said a film about the guy. So is it called Michael Collins? And for some reason, when you said Michael Collins, I kept thinking Michael Caine for some reason. Oh, and Wise Up 786 says in a violent nature. I'm guessing that's the documentary you were talking about. Oh, the movie is called Michael Collins. Sorry. I'll remember that because every time you said Michael Collins, I kept thinking Michael Caine for some reason, and a picture of Michael Caine as Alfred kept appearing to me, like at in the last movie, Dark Knight Rises, when he saw that Bruce Wayne actually survived the crash of the Bat and was overseas with Selena Kyle. As he said, he pictured one day that Bruce Wayne would go on to have a have a life outside of Gotham, and it actually happened. And he gave him this knowing nod at the end of the movie, and you could tell he was really happy, like a father, seeing that his son had went on to do good things. So for some reason, when you kept saying Michael Collins, I kept having that image of Michael Caine going. So I don't know, that's weird. But anyway, I'm gonna go. It's probably just because it's late. Oh, if it's a horror movie, I might I'll see. But if it's a horror movie, I'm probably not gonna watch it. I'm not really into horror movies anymore unless it's like some of these Indonesian horror films like Sabrina or The Third Eye or something like that. But check those out if you don't know what I'm talking about. Sabrina is like an Indonesian version of what's that dull horror movie here called whatever. But there's a version of that in Indonesia. It's a trilogy. It's called the Doll Two, and Part Three is called Sabrina. Unfortunately, they took the Doll One and Doll Two off of Netflix, but they still have Sabrina, the third installment of the movie, and that's because Netflix themselves made the third installment of the movie. But to see Doll One and Doll Two, you're gonna have to check that out on a BitTorrent site. But all right, um, good night to uh, you guys who are here. Good day to the rest of you overseas. A good afternoon to you somewhere in between. All right, and I'll remember all this stuff, and plus I'll upload the video. So even if I do forget something, I can just upload. Once this live stream is uploaded, I can just scroll up back through the comments and find it as well. So all right, guys, thanks for the film and TV recommendations. I like foreign films, so I've already made a note of those things. Check you guys tomorrow. We'll have a new topic. All right, thanks.